San Diego, it's time to fire it up. From the beaches to the ballparks, from the Gaslamp to North County, no one knows America's finest city like he does.
You can't just punt on a Manny Machado prime use.
He's a fourth-generation San Diegan, born and raised in the heart of this community. Passionate, opinionated, and always bringing you the real talk on your teams, your city, and everything in between.
Braden totally knows his stuff. He's ready for the next step. That guy is good.
Live and local, it's the Braden Surrenant Show.
But I think Braden's one of the up-and-coming young stars in the media game in San Diego.
Now, here's your host, Braden Surrenant.
What's up, San Diego? And a happy Monday to everybody out there in America's finest city. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surrenant. This is the Braden Surrenant Show, live and local each and every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego's number one sports station, 97.3 The Fan. And guess what? We do have a full slate of shows this week, though. No preemptions, no days off. We are fully ready to rock and roll. And why wouldn't you? It's Padres-Dodgers week this week. This is the emotional roller coaster week for too many Padres fans out there. And I'm just going to say it right now. Before we start diving into what happened over the weekend, before we start diving into the Padres offense starting to really come about, before we start talking about the top three not really doing that well, the other guys carrying the show, Lucas Giolito having a good outing over the weekend, Walker Buehler pitching pretty well. Before we talk about anything that happened in sweeping the season series against the Mariners, winning the Vedder Cup outright 6-0. Before you talk anything about that, time for the disclaimer of this week. This is my overall takeaway of Padres-Dodgers at this point and where the Padres are at, and at this point in my lifetime of watching the Padres since 1995. You can't let this be your World Series this week. And the thing is I don't think the players are at that point. I don't think they have been like that for the last couple of years. This cannot be your World Series, Padres fans. This is just another series in a group of however many series you got to play in a year. It's just 3 games out of 162, and none of this matters. Yeah, I'm sure for pride it's great. I'm sure if you took 2 out of 3 and took over first place, it would be great. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It's just 3 other games against the team from up north. That's it. I think too many times as a fan base, we overhype these games like it means something, like it's going to tell you the story of what the season's going to be like. And the fact of the matter is, it's not. We have now seen that in a couple of years, over the last handful of years, that winning the season series against the Dodgers doesn't mean anything. It's cool. It's kind of fun, right? It's like, hey, look, got the Dodgers. But at the end of the day, you were thinking about winning a division, and you're thinking about beating them in the playoffs. Your path to your goals matter to you, and you don't have to worry about other organizations or other entities. There's no reason to do it. Can't be hanging banners for beating a team that has done fairly well, but not necessarily unbeatable. I mean, they have had their own problems. Look, they just beat the living hell out of the Los Angeles Angels over the weekend. Who doesn't do that? They're 16-28. They're terrible. They got possums running around their stadium. They have a vermin infestation in Anaheim. That's not necessarily a feather in the cap beating up on those guys. But when you play the team up north and tensions are high and emotions are high, and I see it, obviously going down there to the ballpark's going to be a little bit different. It's hard to just sit there and ignore what's going on with maybe some obnoxious Dodger fans that don't know anything about baseball just spewing nonsense to you. But you can't sit here and say this game is overly important. This series is not that important. You have to tone it down a little bit. Take it one game at a time during the series. It would be nice to win 2 out of 3, and then you're focused on the next series at hand, and that's the Athletics. That's how you have to approach this. Because it's a long season. You're going to have other opportunities. If you lose this series, the season is not over. If you win this series, the division is not yours. Today is May 18th. I just think like that needs to be the talking point. This is a good series. It's going to be a fun series. I think it's going to be interesting to see both teams coming off a sweep, half game separated from each other. I think that's great. I think that makes it fun. I know it's a big rivalry. We enjoy it. I can't wait to hear the Beat LA chants at Petco Park. But you can't pretend like this series means more than all the other ones. Because when you do that, bad things happen. And here's the deal. I'm putting the disclaimer out there, Frank, right now. Because if they lose tonight, you're going to get all these phone calls saying how much the team sucks and how they can't beat the Dodgers. I don't want to hear that. It's 3 games against the rival. You got to play them 3 more series. It's the first 3 of 12 or 13, however many it is you play nowadays. I don't want to throw cold water on this series, but you got to focus on it like it would be just any other series, and that's how they're looking at it. That's how you should look at it. That's how Padres fans should look at this. Because when we have overhyped this series, it gets too emotional, and then you start dealing with, you start biting the bait from these people on social media that want to run their mouth about how great the Dodgers are, yada, 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 yada. Don't overhype the series. It's just another 1 out of 162. Don't overhype the series. I'm just a disclaimer before we talk about it. It's going to be fun. I think it's going to be a great series between the Padres and Dodgers. You know what? You take 2 out of 3. You're in a great spot. It'd be nice to really set the tone early and strike first against this team that you're going to see an additional 10 times after this week. But at the same time, you can't emotionally get too invested in these 3 games. It's going to drive you mad. It's going to drive you mad. So that's the disclaimer. Am I off base here, Frank? I mean, I just feel like in these particular series, you can't overhype it too much. You got to stay even keel and lock in like it's another series.
It is. It is just another series, especially in May. You cannot hype this up as being bigger than what it is, especially when you know you're going to see them a couple more times. Yes, you are going for first place in the division right now, but it's May 18th. That is going to change a lot. And it's okay to be emotionally invested and get down when the team loses and get up when the team wins. But you can't take it like, oh, the season's over. We can't be going from one extreme to the other here with every single game. Again, it's not an NFL season. This is just another series. If this was happening in September and we're still fighting for first place, if we're in this exact situation and it's September and not May, yeah, that is reasonable. But you still have to play them 3 more times after this. Plus, pretty much the entirety of the rest of the league at this point in the season. It's
early in the season. You can't get too emotionally invested. Now, here's the only situation where this gets to a point where it's huge. You can't get swept this week. And if you sweep them, you know what? That's a nice little punch in the face to start the season off against the Dodgers. But as much as you're going to be the highs and lows, and you're going to invest in individually in every single inning, you got to be able to flush it at the end of the day. Like after tonight, if the Padres win or they lose, you got to flush it immediately and be ready for the next day. The goal this week should be take 2 out of 3 because you're playing them at home. That needs to be the goal this week. Don't make it bigger than it really needs to be. I think we do that too many times. It doesn't need to be that big. It's a fun game. It's going to be a big series. You get a little bit extra juice for series like this against Los Angeles than you would if the Rockies were in town. So it's going to be fun. And you know the players are going to be even keel, but at the same time, be willing to flush it at the end of the game. That's the disclaimer before we hype up the series the rest of the show and go totally against what we say in the open. That's why I'm putting it out there now. That is the disclaimer. How many times have we put the disclaimers out this year? Did it in spring training, did it all the time. That's why we have the saying right but too early. So, That's what needs to be said about this series. It's going to be fun, but I'm going to tell you right now, in LA, on LA radio, they're just treating it like another series against the Padres because it is for them. Don't make it a little brother thing. It becomes embarrassing. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. I mean, the way the Padres have been hitting the last couple of days, the way that it started this weekend, I think the Padres are hitting the Dodgers at the right time. The pitching's been good. It's been solid. I like what I saw to Lucas Giolito yesterday. You know, a couple of daily newsletters that happened over the weekend with that Kevin Acee put out. He talked about after Friday night, even though they won 2-0 over the weekend, that the offense seemed like they were starting to click a little bit. And then they put up big runs on Saturday, and the Padres put up big runs again on Sunday, and the offense looks like it's really starting to hum right now for the Padres. I think it might be the beginning of the offense really starting to click. And a big talking point in that newsletter of the weekend was Steven Souza Jr. in the hitters meeting said, we're not following our approach. We're getting away from what our approach is. He had that speech, and then all of a sudden, what did the Padres do over the weekend runs-wise? Lit up the scoreboard. Grinded out at bats. Put the ball over the fence. Got some slug. So this is why we're going to dive deeper into this when we come back about the weekend series against the Mariners. But when people tell me that they see and they go like, I don't like this approach for this hitting coach, you don't know what it is anyway. Unless you are in those meetings and know what is being said, you don't know what the approach is, and you don't know if the players are executing the approach or not. And they admitted that they weren't, and then all of a sudden things flipped when they started to lock back into what Steven Souza Jr. was saying. So hopefully that nips that in the bud, the whole like we need a new hitting coach conversation. But I like the way the offense is moving. I like the direction it's going in. And maybe this week is the week that Fernando gets his first home run. Wouldn't that be something? Juan in Oceanside's got a bet on it. We'll see how that goes this week. Fernando hits 500 and hits 2 home runs. What was it? Is that what the bet was? Juan said he's got to get a Fernando tattoo. I don't want to hold him again. That's his own decision. That's not us doing that. It's not a bit. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. When we come back, a recap of the weekend that was between the Padres and the Mariners. Some underlying things about the offense we want to dive into to get things started here on the Braden Surrenant Show. San Diego's number one sports station, 97 through the Fan. Clear. Broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios, we know how. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surrenant. This is the Braden Surrenant Show, live and local each and every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego's number one sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Thanks again for joining us today. We're going to be talking a lot of Padres and Dodgers in the second half of this show. We're going to talk a lot about what happened over the weekend in the first half of this show, and there's a lot of things to take away out of every one of these games that the Padres played. Look, what did we say? I hate always being right, Frank. You know, it's like, what did we say before the road trip?
It's really tiring, isn't it?
You're going to piss off that David guy in the chat that likes to make fun of us every single day.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Anyway,
thanks for listening, buddy. We appreciate it.
Anyway.
What did we say before they embarked to Milwaukee?
3-3.
If the Padres go 3-3, you're stoked. It's great. At this point in the season, with this schedule, with who you're playing, it's great to go. You know, you want to kind of play 500 ball right now because it keeps you around. It keeps you competing for the number one spot in the National League West. It keeps you in the wild card race. It keeps you near the top of the National League. That's what you need to do. These are the two hardest months, really 2.5. The month of May, the month of June, and the first half of July before the All-Star break. That is the difficult part of the Padres schedule. And right now, you want to play around 500. You don't want to go on too many losing streaks during this stretch. If you finish there at around 500 and you're 8 games over 500 before you start the real the ceremonial second half of the season, I'm telling you, the Padres are going to be in a really good spot. They are. I mean, right now, what are they, like 10 games above 500 now? After they went 4-2 on this road trip?
I believe so, yeah.
I mean, they actually did better than I thought they were going to do.
It's on the sheet, bud. Yes, they are 10 games over.
They're 28-18. They're 10 games over, and Fernando hasn't hit a home run yet. Jason Benetti said that yesterday on the NBC broadcast. By the way, thank the Lord. Thank anybody. Thank the highest level, whatever you believe in. Thank that for the fact that the NBA didn't have a game yesterday. And we got to watch that on NBC instead of Peacock. That was great. It was awesome. Thank you, Spurs. Thank you, Wemby. Getting the job done, so we didn't have to watch it on Peacock yesterday.
There was an NBA game.
I know, but it wasn't an NBC NBA game.
Right.
That's why they bumped the Padres over to NBC. Thank you. We appreciate it. Appreciate it. All right. We said if you go 3-3 over the 6, everything's going to be good. Right? It's going to be fine. They went 4-2. They swept the Mariners. I can't believe that they went 6-0 against the Mariners this season. I mean, those are gifts on not expected outcomes for the year. If you were thinking modestly and you're filling out the schedule, I don't think anybody said like, oh yeah, 6 games against the Mariners, they're going to win.
I was looking it up yesterday. There have only been 3 season series sweeps in this series. 17, 21, and this year. Padres have all 3 of them.
No way.
Padres have never been swept in the season series. They came close last year.
They went 1-5 last year.
But yeah, this is the 3rd time that the Padres have swept the season series against Seattle.
You know, I think they're upset they didn't get the guitar last year. They're extra fired up this year.
Oh, no. Anyway.
I thought what they did just to kind of recap the road trip. I mean, taking one in Milwaukee, even though they stole it, you'll take that. I mean, it's tough to win on the road. You want to play about 500 ball on your road trips, and they went 4-2. That's fantastic. You picked up another game picked up another 2 games in the win column on the standings. 10 games above 500 now. You won 3 in a row. Run differential still needs a little bit of an improvement, but you're a half game back against LA with 3 against LA this week. You're in a really good spot. The offense kind of struggled in Milwaukee. Saw some power. I mean, Gavin Sheets has been on an absolute tear. Absolute tear. His one he hit in Milwaukee was crazy, and then in Seattle, it was on fire this weekend. You get production like that out of Gavin Sheets, I mean, you're in a really good spot. They just got to get some of the top of the line players that they pay a lot of money for to be able to do that. But I think they're starting to turn things around a little bit offensively, and we'll talk about that in just a second. But I really like Lucas Giolito yesterday, Frank. We'll take a deeper look into his numbers, but just kind of recapping the weekend, you got to like what you saw to Lucas Giolito. He looked fired up to be back in a big league game.
Yeah, no, he was great. And I think Jesse and Tony kind of touched on it a little bit at the end of the game yesterday, that I think that long 6th inning kind of affected the way he came out in the bottom of the 6th inning.
I agree with that.
He could have, he looked like and felt like he could have gone a little bit further into that game, but with how long he was sitting and having not been in the majors this season so far, he definitely looked like he was affected by how long he had to sit for that top of the 6th inning. It was great because it gave him some run support, but immediately walked the first 3 guys. That was a good time to pull Giolito there if I were Craig Stammen.
And it was first major league outing of the year, right? I mean, he's going to have a little bit of that, and hopefully you could get a better bounce back out of Griffin Canning, because he has gone in the complete opposite direction right now for a starting pitcher. But I liked what I saw to Lucas Giolito. Baseball's cruel. The guy gave up 1 hit, yet he leaves with 3 earned runs. I mean, yes, Yuki Matsui didn't get charged for any runs, and he still hasn't given up any runs at this point in the season, but he gave up those runs. And those are the runs that, kind of hurt your starting pitcher, because I thought Lucas Giolito pitched a lot better than what his ERA currently looks like. I think he pitched a lot better than what his current stat line looks like. I think that's very promising for this starting rotation as it starts to really solidify. We talked about that a couple of weeks ago. Now, it'd be nice to get Griffin Canning going a little bit and get him back on the positive route. He's another guy that's coming off of an injury from last year, late to sign, has to get back in the swing of things. But, the starting rotation is starting to really settle in right now with Michael King. I mean, Randy Vasquez has been electric. He looked great again. Randy Vasquez looked great again over the weekend. I mean, the Padres are 8-1 when Randy Vasquez starts a game. Is that surprising to you? 8-1? I mean, he's not 8-1, obviously, but the team is. And here's the other thing, too, with what did we say before the season started about Randy Vasquez?
He could be an ace.
I said we said he has the ability to be one of your top 2 pitchers in the rotation this year, based on the way he was trending, based on the work he has put in, how he's worked with you, Darvish. These numbers that Randy Vasquez has on the season. I mean, just bear with me right here on some of these, on the stat line for Randy Vasquez for the season. Randy this year is 5-1 with a 2.68 ERA in his 9 starts with a 1.6 WAR, all ready to start the year. That's already top 2 stuff, right? What's the difference between a number 1 and an ace? I'm putting you on the spot. But the difference is a lot of the time, if you want to go back to, and I don't think it is, he's not Kevin Brown. But what made Kevin Brown so great when he was a Padre in 1998? You knew they were going to win. When he started the game, you knew the Padres are winning this game. So if you go on a losing streak, what does an ace usually do? end it. He goes out there, he ends it. When you go out there as an ace, you expect to what? You expect to win. Well, how about these numbers on top of the fact that he is 5-1 and has a sub-3 ERA at 2.68 ERA through 9 starts, and he's battling at the top with Michael King to be your number one starter right now. And I think Michael King has earned the right to be the number one starter. He's looked great too. He doesn't even feel great. He looks great though. The Padres are 8-1 when Randy Vasquez starts games. By the way, they're 5-0 when he starts after a loss. Who does that, Frank?
A stopper or an ace.
Aces do that. He is giving you ace-like production right now. I don't know if he's going to be able to keep it up the entire year, but Randy Vasquez has really done a great job saving this rotation, and it goes back to like a Juan Soto trade paying off. Your top two guys in the rotation were traded in the Juan Soto trade. It's looking pretty good right now at the starting rotation. Oh, and by the way, Johnny Brito starting to start games. He's on a rehab assignment. I mean, they turned Johnny Brito into a starter too. You basically, and there's a lot of ifs that still need to happen. But you could look at that Juan Soto trade, whether it be the Padres trading to get Juan Soto or Juan Soto being traded to the Yankees, as cashing in on your rotation. Everybody goes like, we need young pitchers. You have them. They're the guys that you traded for in the Juan Soto deal. Michael King's a little bit on the older side now, but he's not that much older. You almost got two, and right now they're pitching like it. And I don't think they're going to be the whole year. Don't get my words twisted. But as of right now, Juan Soto got you two guys that are pitching at an ace level in a year you absolutely needed starting pitching. On Friday, he had 6 scoreless innings, Randy Vasquez, only threw 79 pitches. Fourth outing this year with 6+ scoreless innings. And internally, the Padres believe two things have changed with Randy. Increased velocity, which we have seen, and more aggressive attack in the strike zone, which we have also seen. Craig Stammen joked about crediting Vasquez's loud pregame Dembo music for changing the clubhouse vibe on Friday. But the real story from Friday's game, aside from the fact that the Padres won, Randy Vasquez is pitching with conviction now. He may be evolving from back-end innings eater to a trusted stabilizer, and that's massive considering the uncertainty behind Michael King's workload, Walker Buehler's health, obviously, Matt Waldron's unclear future. What are you going to do with Giolito and Canning? I mean, there's a lot of question marks with the rotation, and you know who's not a question mark right now? Randy Vasquez. And you know who said that? We did. And what was the immediate comment? If Randy Vasquez is your 2, you're in trouble. I absolutely 100% disagree with that statement. He's been electric. And he built on that on Friday. It's phenomenal out of Randy Vasquez. Saw Mason Miller look elite again on Friday night. I mean, you got to be careful about the usage, I think. I mean, he threw 34 pitches on Friday, only 19 strikes. He had to go out and get a 4-out save. Traffic everywhere for him. But over his last 9 appearances, Mason Miller, strikeouts are down, swing and miss rates are down, hitters are chasing less. That doesn't mean that Mason Miller's bad, but he may no longer be completely untouchable, which is not surprising considering the fact that he wasn't completely untouchable before the Padres grabbed him. I think the larger issue here is the workload for Mason Miller moving forward. Padres have already played 18 games decided by 1 or 2 runs, tied for the most in Major League Baseball, which forces Miller and the high-leverage bullpen arms into constant pressure situations. And at his current pace for Mason Miller, he projects towards roughly 77 appearances, which that would far exceed anything he has handled before. Padres are obviously aware of this situation, and pitching coach Ruben Niebla and Craig Stammen, the manager, both referenced protecting bullpen health for the long season after the disastrous bullpen burnout of 2021. So I think you're already starting to see evidence the team may start pulling back. I mean, Jeremiah Estrada was warming during the 9th. He ended up coming in on Saturday to pitch the 9th inning in a save situation. Stammen hinted Miller was close to being removed from the game on Friday. And Miller himself admitted workload may be affecting his command consistency. So that is something to monitor and to look at when it comes to the pitching staff. Can the Padres survive offensively if every game continues turning into a bullpen survival test? Because they can't continue to do this. They can't continue to do this with Mason Miller. They can't continue to do this with any of the bullpen arms. They're going to have to jump out on people early, or their starters going to have to go later in the games. I think both of those things are starting to trend in the right direction. When we come back, the most glaring thing from the offense and why they might be in for the run that we are expecting. We'll talk about it when we come back on the Braden Surrenant Show. Saturday's number Sports Station, 97 through the Fan. All guests join us on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not Big Bank Banking, it's better. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surrenant. This is the Braden Surrenant Show, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. We are on each and every day from 10 to 2. We are your midday show. We have a fun time here on the midday. Talk a lot of Padres baseball. Talk a lot of Padres baseball in general on the show. We try to mix in some other stuff during the commercial breaks on YouTube. We'll try to dive into some other stuff if we have time, but it's a big week this week, obviously, with the Dodgers coming to town. It's another series, Padres fans, another series. You can get excited for it, but at the end of the day, those games count just as much as the games against all the other teams in Major League Baseball. You're trying to find your way to 90 wins. Trying to find your way to 90 wins. You got to find them where you can get them. Hopefully the Padres can take 2 out of 3 this week against Los Angeles. It'll be at Petco Park. Should be a fun time. Let's try not to take the bait from a lot of Dodgers fans at the stadium. Don't let your emotions overtake you. Be cool. Yolanda, be cool. Be cool. 10:40 on a Monday. Getting you ready for Padres and Dodgers later on tonight. Equal Water SoCal Padres pregame show will start at 5:40. First pitch will be at 6:40 against L.A. Gwen and Chris will be on after us, recapping a fun 4-2 road trip for the Pods and getting ready for Padres and Dodgers tonight. Want to get your phone calls today, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. We're going to dive into the offense a little bit here and what they did over the weekend. But first, let's get to your phone calls. Get out to Scott in Tierra Santa. Scott, you're batting leadoff today on the Braden Surrenant Show. What's going on, man?
Hey, Braden, how you guys doing?
Doing well.
Love your show. Love your show. I do have to tell you, I'm probably going to be in the minority, but I love the batting lineup they had yesterday. I'm sorry, man. I put Tatis number 1 and leave him there. He's the most dynamic guy, one of the most dynamic guys in baseball. He puts pressure right on the pitcher. And, you know, I know his stats aren't great. You're going to argue with me that he hasn't done well leading off an inning, but I leave him there, man. And I find a way to get Castellanos in that lineup as a DH. And where the hell is Cronin?
We haven't had too many updates on Cronenworth. I think they're still monitoring the concussion symptoms and everything like that. Those are very serious deals. As somebody that has to do a lot of concussion training as a football coach, they don't mess around with concussions. So if we got more updates, we will pass those along for Cronenworth. I'm not going to disagree with you on Fernando batting leadoff. I'm the biggest advocate for Fernando batting leadoff. But as of right now, with him not playing that well, I didn't mind them kind of mixing it up, moving guys around. I think a lot of people thought that him out of the leadoff spot would really unlock something. We haven't really seen that. And they really don't have a leadoff hitter. I think you had to try a lot of different players. And right now, not really a lot of them have really stepped up to be a leadoff guy. I mean, I think you had to give Jackson Merrill an opportunity. Haven't really seen him really put it together as a leadoff hitter. Ramon Laureano just went completely into the tank after being in the leadoff spot. Jake Cronenworth tried it. I think you're running out of options, and I think you got to go back to what was working for the last couple of years and put Fernando back up there. I don't mind that. I mean, I was probably the biggest advocate for him batting leadoff. And a lot of people that didn't want him to bat leadoff, and Scott, I appreciate the phone call, were people that thought, well, if he's got to hit the ball over the fence and hit home runs and drive in runs, he's got to have people on in front of him, which is fine. But right now he's not doing that anyway. You might as well just put him back to the leadoff spot. Maybe he'll get more comfortable. I mean, at this point, Frank, like, I don't know if you've given Jackson Merrill enough time to really settle in at the leadoff spot, but there's only been one guy that has had really a decent amount of success in his career on this team, the leadoff spot, and it's Fernando.
Yeah, and I the way Jackson's batting average tanked when he went to the leadoff spot. I know it wasn't high to begin with, but it's almost 200 now. And Laureano's did the same thing. That leadoff spot is, again, the Padres don't have a genuine, legitimate leadoff hitter. And Fernando's been doing it for the last couple of years. So I think in order to stabilize that spot, you may as well put him there and leave him for a while. See if that changes anything. Because again, his hitting, from what we saw last year, his hitting had nothing to do with him being at the leadoff spot. His issues stem from who is behind him. And now that person that's behind him is no longer here, maybe that could change. So now you're really looking for a number 2 hitter, which the Padres seemingly have a few of. So I think putting Fernando back leading off and just letting him sit there and do what he's done over the last couple of years, I think that is the best course of action right now.
I think it is too. I mean, I think you had to start mixing it up, right? And Craig Stammen said he was going to mix it up, and he said he was going to like put things, try to move the lineup around and play the hot hand and not get into a same position every single time situation. But at this point, and Fernando's only done it a couple of times this year. But if you look at the overall numbers, Fernando does great in the leadoff spot, and that spot is killing you right now. I mean, it is absolutely killing you. Your leadoff batter. I mean, we keep looking at these stats. Your leadoff batter at the Padres leadoff hitter is killing them. First batter of the game. Guess how many hits they have? Still.
2.
They're now 2 hits for 46 plate appearances. At least they've worked 5 walks. They're 2 for 40. That's a 50. 50 average with a 249 OPS. I mean, it is the worst in baseball. Leading off a game. Leading off an inning. For Jackson Merrill's numbers have started to plummet after leading off an inning. He's now had 49 plate appearances leading off an inning. He's hitting 214 with a 731 OPS. He was the best at doing it before he had to do it on a more consistent basis. The only guy that's better now is Gavin Sheets. You get really desperate, you might as well put Gavin leading off. I mean, Gavin hit another home run yesterday leading off an inning. Then over the weekend, he's hitting 313 with a 938 OPS. He's hit 2 home runs leading off an inning.
I think Jesse said yesterday, too, the number 1 hitter, the top of the order for the Padres, led off an inning 5 times yesterday. So, that is, Fernando was there. He was leading off innings, setting the tone, had the opportunity to at least, and unfortunately just continued his down spell.
You want to look at look at these numbers for like leading off an inning. It's so bad. Ramon Laureano, this is in order of plate appearances. You following me? Ramon Laureano, 132, 441 OPS. Jackson Merrill, 214 average leading off an inning, 731 OPS. Fernando, 205 average, 498 OPS. Manny, 195 average, 535 OPS. Xander Bogaerts, 139 average, 427 OPS leading off an inning. Gavin Sheets is the only one that does a good job leading off an inning in 32 plate appearances. Gavin Sheets is hitting 313 with a 938 OPS. Jake Cronenworth, 125, 375. Miguel Andujar, 250 average, 708 OPS. He's been okay. 174 average for Ty France leading off an inning, 652 OPS. Nick Castellanos, 158, 463. Freddie Fermin, 083, 350. Luis Camposano's been hurt for the last, handful of days. He's hitting 273 with a 697 OPS. The only one that has done decent is Bryce Johnson. And guess how many plate appearances he has? Leading off an inning. 5. You can't even say that's like significant. He's 3 for 5. So First batter of the game, awful. Leading off an inning, awful. Guys that have batted leadoff this year, worst on the team out of all the positions. There's only one spot that's hitting worse than the leadoff guy, and it's the number 9 batter for the Padres, and they're missing it barely by the number 9 hitter is batting 174 combined on the year with a 544 OPS. The leadoff batter is hitting 178 with a 541. You basically have 2 number 9 hitters on your team this year. It's probably time to just put Fernando in the leadoff spot and just be like, all right, just get comfortable there and go do your thing. And hopefully that unlocks something. But the lineup yesterday was pretty solid. Now, the offense as a whole, and I thought this was interesting. So they kind of slowly started to build over the weekend. From Kevin Acey's newsletter on Saturday about Friday's game, the Padres only scored 2 runs in Seattle, but internally, this was viewed as one of their best offensive performances in weeks because the process looked dramatically different. And he talked about in his newsletter how Steven Souza Jr. in a hitters meeting called out the offense and said, we are getting away from what our approach is. We are getting away from it. Which I read that on everybody that calls in and talks about how the approach sucks. Sometimes they don't do the approach. Unless you're in those hitters meetings and know what the hitting coach and what the offensive staff is implementing, you have no idea if they're actually executing it or not. If it's really their approach or if they're not following it. So, Friday night's game, after being told in the hitters meeting, hey, let's go back to what was good for us at the beginning of the season, what our numbers are, what our approach is, how we want to attack pitchers. Let's go back to that. Let's lock back in to doing what we're supposed to. And what did you get on Friday? Padres consistently hit line drives, pounding balls into the ground. They produce hard contact throughout the lineup. Their at-bats reflected the offensive identity the coaching staff has been preaching. And according to the numbers after Friday's game, 9 hits were the most in 9 games. 10 balls hit 100 miles an hour, were their most since April 12th. 12 line drives tied for a season high. 6 line drives were hit 100 miles an hour plus, double the recent average. And Emerson Hancock allowed 5 100-mile-an-hour line drives, the most of his MLB career. The key detail, hitting coach Steven Souza Jr., as mentioned before, reportedly told hitters pregame they had drifted away from their approach. The immediate response was noticeable on Friday. Manager Craig Stammen emphasized that the Padres must live in that space offensively. Hard line drives, disciplined contact rather than trying to force power. This is important because the Padres had quietly become one of baseball's worst offenses over the previous 15 games in nearly every major category. So that was Friday. Let's fast forward to Saturday, where the Padres put up 7 runs. Oh, and you saw a lot of guys starting to hit the ball very hard. Now, you didn't have it out of Jackson, Merrill, Fernando, and Manny, but the bottom 6 hitters all recorded hits. Home runs came from the number 4, 7, 9 hitters. Top 3 hitters in the lineup still went hitless, but you know what? The offense was starting to trend in the right direction a little bit. Over the past 10 games, this is the kind of glaring hole about the top 3 in the order in Merrill, Tatis, and Machado. Those guys, the last 10 games, have combined to hit 114 with just 4 RBIs. Meanwhile, Nick Castellanos, Gavin Sheets, Miguel Andujar, going into Sunday's game, hit a collective 274 with 16 RBIs. The Padres are winning games despite their stars slumping and inconsistent offensive identity. But I tell you what, they were starting to really put it together over the weekend. I think you saw that from Friday into Saturday, into Sunday. I think you saw the confidence with those guys building. I think you see them getting confident back in their approach. And yes, the guys at the bottom of the order are carrying the load right now. But I think eventually these guys are going to start putting it together a little bit more based on the way that we've seen this offense kind of turn. Frank, I think over the weekend, you started to see these guys really believe in the approach, do exactly what the offensive coaches told them to do. And look, you even got Rodolfo Duran to hit a home run over the weekend. Yeah, he should have hit too.
Yeah, congratulations, by the way, to Rodolfo Duran. That's 11 years in the making, that moment. So congratulations to him. But yeah, especially the role players. It's been the role players that have been carrying the team. And again, I tweeted it on Saturday night after the game that the Padres, that the top three, the big three, Fernando, Merrill, and Manny, were 0 for 22, 2 walks, and 6 strikeouts. Good teams do not win despite their stars. Good teams win with their stars and with the occasional help from everyone else. It's not the other way around. So right now, the offensive approach, at least that you saw this weekend, clearly worked. The way the lineup was constructed, was constructed for yesterday at least, really worked. You got a great showing out of Gavin Sheets. He has been hot. I believe I sent it to you. Sam had Gavin Sheets' stats from over the course of the road trip. 625, 4 home runs, a 739 on base percentage, and a 1438 slug, which comes out to be a 2177 OPS. That is mental. That is insane. That is also production that's not going to last. That was a six game little string for Gavin Sheets. You also had a great redemption weekend for Ty France, who's coming back to Seattle to play. Completely tore them apart yesterday, 3 hits and 3 RBIs. The Stars need to really start making an impact. However, the offense as a whole showed a lot of upside over the course of the weekend.
I think so. I don't want to. I mean, you're getting production out of all these other guys, and Gavin Sheets is on a tear. I mean, ask White Sox fans about Gavin Sheets 2 years ago, right? He's on a tear, as you mentioned. Rodolfo Duran should have hit 2 home runs on Saturday. He hit one, his first major league hit. It's great that it's a home run. That's awesome. Ty France is raking. I mean, the middle part, the bottom part. Nick Castellanos is hitting the ball a lot better. He had another bomb on Saturday. Like, all of these guys in the middle to bottom of the order are producing, and I feel like the offensive staff is getting the most out of them. So with those guys turning in the right direction, I think it's going to click eventually with these guys at the top. And I think you started to see that a little bit over the weekend. I mean, it was good to see Manny rope a double down the line and turn on a fastball, right? I mean, it could be the fact that those guys at the top are getting frustrated and turn away from the approach, but I think the offense is building to have a pretty good week this week. We'll see how they do against the Dodgers. We'll talk more about that when we come back. Get your phone calls as well. Hour in the books, 3 to go. 11 o'clock on a Monday. It's usual time. We check in on the minor leagues, see what's going around San Diego Padres farm system. They had AAA last week with the El Paso Chihuahuas. This week in AA, a lot of storylines with the San Antonio Missions right now. A lot of storylines that impact the big league club. And for a full report on what's going on in San Antonio, aside from the fact that the Spurs are in the Western Conference Final, we go to Brian Yancelson. He's the play-by-play voice of the San Antonio Missions. He joins us on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not Big Bank Banking, it's better. Brian, what's going on? How's your Monday going?
It's going great. Always such a pleasure to join you guys.
Always great talking ball with you, getting some insight of what's going on in AA San Antonio. The last week or so, the big talking point coming out of missions, coming out of the Missions for us here in San Diego has been the start of the season for Ethan Salas, the power surge, what he's doing at the plate, how he's been able to come off of an injury from last year. I think a lot of people are getting excited about Ethan Salas again. He's flying up a lot of rankings again to go back to where he was before he got hurt. Still a very young player in this league. We talked about him the last time you were on with us, but you got to sit down and talk with Ethan Salas. What has been the biggest takeaway from Ethan Salas' start to the season and how he's been able to bounce back from his injured plagued season last year?
Yeah, it's been phenomenal to see the stretch. It's funny, since we last talked just at the end of April, he was already doing well, but he then went on an absolute tear. He hit 6 home runs, and he's driven in 17 just since I last joined your show. And I made sure to make that stretch exactly that period of time, so you can showcase to everybody who's been tuning in to these conversations just how well he's been doing. And I did get to sit down with him for my podcast, Curves, Cannons, and Bells. And he just said, it's nothing mechanical. It's nothing specific baseball wise of, hey, I'm doing this with my swing or this approach. He just has changed his mindset. He says he's having fun. He's relaxed, and he's older now, which is funny to hear. Of course, he's still just 19, but it is older than when he first joined us when he was 17. And he feels like he's just grown into his body. He's grown into the discipline that he needs at this level. And it's truly coming through. I mean, he's just having so much fun. It's radiating. He's not putting too much pressure on himself. And this past week was an extra special treat because he got to face his brother, Jose, who's on the Wichita Wind Surge. And that is the first time that those two have ever faced off against each other at the professional level. And so the fun just continued. They embraced each other when, they would each come to the plate, and Ethan was either behind the plate or at it, and Jose was at shortstop or second. It popped out to him a couple of times. And then yesterday for the Sunday afternoon finale, they each exchanged the lineup card with the umpires before the game. And so it's just been a blast to watch. Ethan is smiling, laughing, embracing his teammates, embracing a leadership role. And it's just really coming through with everything that he does in his game.
We always hear, and I haven't been able to talk to Ethan Salas personally. You have. And a lot of the stories that we get from camp and from AA is Ethan Salas is mature above his years. I mean, he's 19 years old. How mature can a 19-year-old be? This might be a difficult task, but maybe not, since you've gotten to know him over the last couple of years. Describe for us, or to maybe Padres fans, what do people mean by him being mature above his years? How would you best describe Ethan Salas in that sense, and how can you make that relatable to our audience that want to know how a 19-year-old could be so mature? And is that in a baseball sense, off-field sense? I mean, how do you describe that?
It's really in the way he carries himself as a person. When you're around him, he just doesn't give off teenager vibes. When you're around teenagers, that means they're in high school or just starting college. And there's just something about Ethan that he's so disciplined. He understands what the task is at hand. I mean, I think being a catcher helps a lot too. And we talked about that in the podcast of how seriously he has to take his relationships with his pitchers and taking command and making sure that he's leading an entire staff, doing a lot of homework on not just his team, but the other team. So I think that plays a part. but it's also just the family that he grew up around. His father being a professional baseball player, his grandfather, his uncle, and then, of course, his brothers, one older, one younger. He's been around the game so long that even though he's still very young, he knows what it takes to be a professional baseball player. We talked about an experience he had when he had just turned 16, even before signing with the Padres. He got to play in the Venezuelan Winter League, and he was in a clubhouse with major leaguers at that point, Salvador Perez, the longtime catcher with the Royals. And all of those experiences have just added up into him being a leader. I have to remind myself that he is 19. He's about to turn 20 in June, but he just doesn't give off those teenager vibes when you interact with him. He really conveys a mature and experienced vibe and someone who knows exactly what he wants to do and what he needs to do to get that done.
We're talking with Brian Yancelson. He's the play-by-play voice of the San Antonio Missions, giving us a missions report here on a Monday. Usually check in with all the minor league affiliates once a week here on the Braden Surrenant Show. And, I think a lot of people were curious and intrigued by the way Ethan Salas has been able to play this season. And the other thing that has been kind of a comparison was they grabbed Jackson Merrill from Double-A after not a lot of playing time in Double-A, not a lot of at-bats in Double-A, and brought him up to the major league level. It's a little bit different, obviously, with the catcher situation. From maybe the conversations you have had or some information that you have gained, what is some of the things that, maybe the Padres organization is still looking for before obviously bringing up Ethan Salas? Again, he's 19 years old. I don't expect him to be up tomorrow, but a lot of people are starting to ask the question of, when can this kid come up? This kid that the Padres have invested so much time, money, and effort into when he has a lot of the intangibles that we've just discussed.
Yeah, there's nothing official or no conversations that I have specifically heard about what that future could be. But just from my personal opinion, our manager last year, Luke Montz, he was a major league catcher in his day. And he said, honestly, the call could be made tomorrow in terms of his defense and his ability to be a catcher in the big leagues. The question has always been the offense. And over these past couple of weeks, especially, and really since the beginning of the year, but the power has been the particular note as of late, the bat's coming around. And if that joins the defense that he's always had, then it does start to get sooner and sooner. But me looking at it, and talking to him and looking at his career, this is his first real extended stretch of success at the professional level. He went up super quickly when he first signed. Everybody was talking about the 16-year-old phenom. Then he turned 17 when he was with Lake Elsinore, had good numbers there. And then they just zoomed him through Fort Wayne for a week, then debuted with the Missions, hit a walk-off double. Everybody's talking about the 17-year-old at Double-A. But then 24, and he talked about this, it was real adversity. He didn't do as well as he wanted to. Everybody started chirping about it. And then 25, he misses most of the year with the back injury. I think he would really benefit from having a full year of true success. He's going to have ups and downs. It's a long season. Double-A is a tough level. They're going to make adjustments to him. This past week against Wichita, he hit a home run in his first step out of the week, but then he kind of quieted down a little bit and had a multi-hit game to end the series. But it's not going to be smooth sailing the entire time. So I think rather than rushing him right away and putting all this pressure on him again, just let him experience success, let him truly take in the Double-A level. And then if he has a full year of success, give him a chance at spring to fight for a spot. And then maybe that's what Merrill did. He ended the year with the Missions, was part of that playoff run, had a little bit of an injury, and then it was at spring training where he impressed, he moved to the outfield, and then bam, there he was. It feels like that could be a very similar situation of let Ethan show that he can do it all year, give him an opportunity out of spring, and then maybe there he can start the next year. But you never know. We're not in the minds of the front office. That's just kind of what I've seen and thought about as I see him with the San Antonio Missions.
He's not the only one that people are talking about. Obviously, when you look at what Randy Vasquez has done and Michael King and some of the other trade pieces in the Juan Soto trade, after being injured for most of last year, Johnny Brito is working his way back up. He had a rehab assignment yesterday for the San Antonio Missions. Good to see Johnny Brito back and throwing again. What did you see out of Johnny Brito yesterday that we could pass along to Padres fans about where he might be at?
Yeah, absolutely. He looked good. His changeup was great, as it always is. That's always been his best weapon. And I think the biggest note, and I know some Padres folks in that world have been talking about the length that he's going. He's been a reliever in the most recent past with San Diego, but he does have experience as a starter. He went 3 innings at the Arizona Complex League a couple of times. Yesterday, he pitched 4 innings, and I think he'll continue to get extended and see how long he can go to maybe provide another starting opportunity for the Padres up at the big league level, whether it's actually starting, whether it's more of a long relief role. But I think that's definitely of note. I do expect him to start for the team in Frisco, so he should get at least another opportunity with Double-A San Antonio, and we'll see from there if he continues his Tommy John rehab. But I think it's very neat for Padres fans and for Missions fans to keep an eye on how San Antonio does very much continue to be the pipeline to go from San Antonio to San Diego. Lucas Giolito pitched for us on Mother's Day last Sunday, and then 1 week later, he's pitching in Seattle for the Padres and getting the win. So it's been very neat over the past couple of weeks to have Giolito, to have Brito, and I think it's good news for Padres fans to keep an eye on these rehabbing and developing arms that could make an immediate impact.
Last thing for you, Brian, is we're talking to Brian Yancelson on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not Big Bank Banking, it's better. Brian is the play-by-play voice of the San Antonio Missions. This is part of our overall update for the minor leagues. We do one level a week. It's good to have Brian back on the show. Where are the Missions at since we last talked to you in terms of like standings, record, and what do they got coming up this week? Obviously, in the minor leagues, everybody plays these week-long series, these 6-game series. What's coming up this week for the Missions, and where are they at record and standings-wise?
Yeah, we just had a terrific 2-week homestand. It's the longest stretch of time that we have at home, which in the minor league level always brings a lot of excitement and fun with our promotions and our theme nights. And it was the most successful stretch that the Missions have had, still at 14-25 overall. That's last place in the Texas League South, but went 7-5 during this 2-week homestand, took a series against the first place Midland Rockhounds, which has been very difficult for the Missions to do as of late. The Rockhounds are the Athletics Double-A affiliate, and people have seen how good the Athletics have become at the major league level, and they have a ton of talent throughout their minor league system, including Leo DeVries, who we've gotten to see a couple of times. That was certainly a lot of fun, especially here in San Antonio. Leo reconnecting with all of his former teammates, guys like Salas, Miguel Mendez, all of them having a lot of fun. And we had 3 walk-off wins within a stretch of 5 games, had a 5-game win streak there. That was the longest so far this year and longest dating back to early last year. And so there have definitely been signs of an improving offense. Guys like Romeo Sanabria really coming around, Braden Carpathios, some of the names that Padres fans see on their top 30 prospect rankings. They have picked it up. Sanabria, getting back to his old tricks of doubles all across the diamond. Carpathios hit a walk-off homer on Princess Night, which is phenomenal. I will not get over the line I came up with for that one of a magic carpet ride for Carpathios on Princess Night. And so it's been a lot of fun at the Wolf. It really has. These 2 weeks were a blast. And now the team heads to Frisco to face the Rough Riders. Those are the Texas Rangers Double-A affiliate, and 6 games up there before coming back home against the Houston Astros Double-A affiliate against Corpus Christi. So the month of May has brought a lot more success in terms of wins and for the top prospects performing at a higher level. And so I think it's only going to continue to get better and better as the season rolls along.
What's the best city in the Texas League that you like to go to on the road?
Oof. Well, other than San Antonio, of
course,
I would say, well, Frisco's great because it's the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So
Correct.
There's a lot at your disposal. And it's a great area around the ballpark, but I'm going to give an underrated answer. We just came from there. Tulsa, Oklahoma. It's a really neat town. And for people who have not visited and might think certain things when they hear the name Oklahoma, they might not think there's a lot there, but Tulsa is a really neat place with a lot of history, a lot of culture, and they've done a great job integrating the ballpark into their historic neighborhood. Now, what I will add is this week, for the next 2 weeks, we are not going to say anything else positive about Oklahoma because the Spurs are playing the Oklahoma City Thunder, and we are all rooting for the Spurs and saying, go Spurs, go. So that is about the last good thing you'll hear about the state of Oklahoma for a few weeks.
It's okay. I going to college in Texas, I don't, nobody likes Oklahoma in general anyway. So I'm on board with that. Don't fall into the lazy river out there in Frisco, Brian.
Oh, I will try not to. It is right. I feel like we never get home runs hit when we're there, yet you always see the highlights elsewhere. So my dream one day is to finally get to call a home run into the lazy river. Hopefully it'll happen.
Hopefully it happens this week. Brian, we appreciate the time, man. Thanks again. We'll talk to you in about a month.
Thank you so much. You guys have a wonderful rest of your day.
Brian Yancelson, play-by-play voice of the San Antonio Missions. Went a little bit long than we usually do, but very interesting stuff about Ethan Salas. And, of course, Johnny Brito is a name that you forgot about. I mean, like, not you specifically, but you forget about guys like Johnny Brito who got hurt and everything like that. He had 4 innings the other day. I mean, they're obviously going to try to make it based on what he's been doing. It sounds like they're trying to lengthen him out to potentially help this club out in either a long relief role or a starter role. Got to like the way Johnny Brito's been pitching right now. I mean, he comes up and pitches well. That trait looks better and better every single day.
Yeah, we haven't seen too much of Johnny Brito except for that 2024 season before he got hurt. So, and Brito was kind of up and down, but he was also really young at that time too. I don't see him being a starter. I see him being kind of like a Kyle Hart type, to where he'll be your long reliever, he'll be your innings eater in case the starter has a rough patch. But the more and more of the guys you can get up and get working from the Soto trade, the better off you are.
I think so too. So a great update there from Brian Yancelson. Just continue to hear great things about Ethan Salas down there in the minor leagues, down in Double-A, and Double-A seems to be the launching pad for the Padres to bring guys up, especially for the pitching side of things. Like, do you really want the pitchers coming up to Triple-A? Dealing with the PCL? I know it's strikeout to walk is where you want to have most of these guys, but it's nice to look up at your ERA and it's not 15. Because you're pitching at high altitude. 833-288-973, 833-288-973. When we come back, we're going to dive into the Padres offense a little bit more. What happened yesterday that really ignited this team that could help them this week? We'll talk about it when we come back on the Braden Surrenant Show, San Diego Summer Sports Station, 97.3 The Fan. Broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios, we know how. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surrenant. This is the Braden Surrenant Show, live and local each every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego's Urban Sports Station, 97.3 The Fan. All right, let's talk about this offense on this team a little bit more. We talked about it in the last hour. We're going to talk about it again here right now. I think it's starting to trend in the right direction. You've seen it with a lot of supporting cast, being able to put things together. The conversation on Friday before the game from Steven Souza Jr., the hitting coach, was we're getting away from our approach. We need to get back to what our approach is, what our offensive philosophy is. They did that. They had a lot of metrics that improved drastically. On Friday, they won 2-0. On Saturday, they put up 7 runs. And then again yesterday, they got the bats out, scored 8 runs. Let's talk about yesterday. The Padres swept the Mariners and finished a difficult road trip 4-2 heading into a massive home series against the Dodgers. And more importantly, the offense finally resembled what the Padres envisioned entering the season. For weeks, the lineup looked tense, over-aggressive, pull-heavy, homer-dependent, disconnected. And against Seattle, the approach changed drastically. The Padres sprayed line drives all over the field, took quality at-bats. They stayed disciplined. They stopped trying to hit 5-run homers. And manager Craig Stammen and hitting coach Steven Souza Jr. both emphasize the same thing. Simplify everything. Look at the statistical improvements they made over the weekend. 13 of 17 runs scored in the first 6 innings. How about that? That's glaring for this team that has only really done anything in the 7th inning on. They scored 17 runs this weekend. 13 of them over the first 6 innings. That's a big round of applause. It's great to score early. Put the pressure on, huh? Love it. 14 runs scored against elite Mariners starters. We haven't even talked about that. I mean, going into the weekend, we talked about the Mariners having a good starting rotation. Guys like Logan Gilbert, who has dominated the Padres in his existence. They tagged him for 7 runs on Saturday. That starting rotation for the Mariners, no slouch. They're good. And the Padres did serious damage against starting pitching. So you can't even say that it was, they're going against easier starting pitching. It's not easier starting pitching. It was difficult. Only 1 quality start allowed all series. This was something that has been a big problem for the Padres offense for so long. Dramatic increase in line drives, which I think is very, very important. The most important detail, Padres stopped trying to do too much. And that has been the central message from Souza for weeks. But this was the first series where the lineup consistently bought into it. I think this leads to our approach conversation that we kind of talked about last week, Frank, but I think this confirms it. Just because you're watching a team play and you're watching them put together at-bats and they're not good at-bats, that doesn't mean it's their approach. They're not always going to execute that. Sometimes human nature gets involved. You start pressing. You start doing your own thing. You start thinking, I got to do something different. And you get away from what the philosophy is of this team. They had to regroup. They did it on Friday. And they add and you know what? They reaped the benefits of doing exactly what the offensive coach's game plans were. And you saw it over the weekend with the amount of runs that they scored, how they scored them, and the approach at the plate.
Yeah, it's funny that when you follow the coach's game plan, things tend to work out a little bit better, Like I wish, that's kind of how you want your players to handle that. So, yeah, I mean, again, this was a completely different offense from what we saw, and after how bad they were in the final games of this homestand, in the entirety of the series against Milwaukee, they needed to change. They needed a big, big swing at something, and it turns out the big swing that they needed was to keep it simple, do what they've been asked to do, and son of a gun, when you know it worked.
It worked across the board. Look, Fernandez didn't hit a home run, and Manny is starting to, but Manny finally got a nice hit down the line, right? I mean, the top part of the order needs to start to buy in, I think, a little bit more, and I think it's going to slowly start coming for them. But the middle part and the role players, they're dominating. Like Gavin Sheets. I mean, what can't you say about Gavin Sheets right now? He's no longer just like the fun story of he got cut by the White Sox and he made the team last year, and it's like, hey, cool, like he's a role player. He's arguably one of their most important sluggers on this team, and he was absurd in Seattle. Frank had these numbers earlier today, but just to like reiterate over his last 6 games and then what he did this series. This series, Gavin Sheets reached base in every plate appearance on Sunday. Every plate appearance. 2 home runs, a double, 2 walks. He is likely going to be the NL Player of the Week this week. Over his last 6 games, these are the numbers that Frank had that Sam tweeted out. 2.177 OPS. At 2177 OPS his last 6 games. A 1438 slugging percentage. Elite zone discipline. He's crushing mistakes consistently. And what makes Sheets especially important is that his success perfectly represents the offensive philosophy the Padres want. Don't chase, simplify approach, attack strikes, use the whole field, don't overswing. Sheets openly admitted that when hitters struggle, they often tried to get 2 hits in 1 at-bat, and that line quietly summarizes the Padres' offense this year. Everybody that was criticizing this approach and the hitting, when do we got to start looking at the hitting coach? We just laid out what they want from their hitters. Don't chase. Simplify it. Attack strikes. Use the whole field. Don't overswing. Off the top of your head, Frank, how many guys on this team have done that consistently this season?
About 2. The 2 that are actually hitting
right.
all season long. That's about it.
That's it. So as much as everybody likes to get on the hitting coach and the philosophy and the approach at the plate, I think it's a lazy way to just like throw somebody under the bus. When the Padres do those things, it works out for them. That is what they want the hitters to do. Gavin Sheets did that yesterday. He's done it over the last 6 games. Oh, by the way, guys raking at the plate. The Padres believe that Fernando, Jackson, and Manny have fallen into that trap of trying to get 2 hits with 1 at-bat. And once those players get out of pressing, they are going to put up good numbers. We could talk about the analytics all we want. We've done that ad nauseum for the first couple of months of the season to tell you that it's not a talent issue with those players. This is not they're cooked. This is not they're trending in the wrong direction. This is they need to believe in the process, and they need to apply said process at the plate, and they need to not press and think that they got to get that big swing. And you know what? I think once Fernando hits his first home run, it's gonna calm him in such a big way. And I think he gets it this week against the Dodgers. I guess it's easy to just keep saying it until it actually happens. I mean, eventually we're going to be right. But I think this week against the Dodgers, you're going to see Fernando hit not just 1, but 2 home runs. And then from that point, he'll settle in. Now, the Stars are still a big problem. They're still a big problem, and we're going to talk about that in just a little bit when we come back. Jackson Merrill, hasn't been very good to start the year. Fernando hasn't. Manny hasn't. We'll talk about those numbers. Plus, they moved Jackson deeper in the lineup. We'll see if that is a recurring trend as we come back on the Braden Surrenant Show, Settings Urban Sports Station 97 through the Fan. 11:39 on a Monday. Talking about the weekends for the Padres. We're talking about what's going down later on tonight for the next 3 days. The Dodgers are in town. Padres and Dodgers will be at 6:40 tonight. Ecowater SoCal Padres pregame show at 5:40 with Sam Levitt. Gwen and Chris will take over after our show at 2 o'clock today. All right, we've talked a lot about the offense for the Padres. I think, Frank, it's trending in the right direction. I really do. But where it's not trending in the right direction is the stars. And the stars are still the problem for this team. Like, even after the offensive breakout this weekend, the core issue remains unchanged. The Padres' biggest stars are not producing like stars. When discussing the Padres' offensive struggles, we are mainly talking about three players: Manny Machado, Jackson Merrill, and Fernando Tatis. Since April 27th, the trio have collectively hit 164 with a 231 on base and a 249 slug, which is catastrophically bad in terms of production for players expected to carry a contender. The Padres internally believe the issue is now mechanical, mental, and confidence related. Steven Souza Jr., the hitting coach for the San Diego Padres, explained the biggest problem: they're missing pitches they should crush. I don't think that's that crazy to understand, because we are seeing that on a daily basis. Not chasing bad pitches necessarily, not getting overpowered. They are fouling off hittable pitches instead of destroying them. And that distinction matters. It really does, because it suggests timing problems. It suggests overthinking. It suggests tension. It suggests pressing. And all of that rather than total skill erosion. I don't think this is a skill erosion conversation about these three players. We've seen some people in the YouTube chat go like, is Jackson Merrill's rookie year, is that the anomaly and not the norm? Because he missed most of last year with an injury. I don't think that's the case. I think if you look at the way that Fernando's swinging the bat, I think you look at the way that Manny's swinging the bat, and Jackson Merrill, if you look at their metrics, it's not a skill issue. It's not a talent issue. It's not a they're getting older and it's going down issue, especially not for Jackson. The organization itself clearly believes all three of these individuals are trying too hard to save the offense themselves instead of staying within the team's pass the baton philosophy, which, by the way, I have seen the pass the baton philosophy work. I've seen it not work. And the times it doesn't work, Frank, is when guys try to do too much. And if you are all collectively part of the pass the baton, it's very difficult to deal with as a pitcher. But if you have a couple of individuals that are trying to do their own thing, or in this particular case, pressing at the plate, it's hard to really get everybody to buy in to the pass the baton philosophy. And I agree with the organization's thoughts. I think a lot of this is mental. I think a lot of this is mechanical. And I think a lot of this stuff can be fixed. But unfortunately, they have to fix it themselves.
Yeah, it's not great. You need to have that continuity throughout the lineup, that everyone is pulling the rope in the same direction, because the second you get one that's trying to do too much or go the other way, then every other domino in that link starts to fall apart. So getting back to and seeing the approach work the way it did this weekend, it more or less really highlights who's not following the approach and showing who is. So it's one of those things where everyone really has to start getting together and really knocking their heads on this approach and getting it to work. Otherwise, it's not going to help anyone.
No, it's absolutely not. And that's the reason why I don't think there's a lot of panic from the org. This is why you and I continue to talk about how this thing's going to turn around eventually, because it's only a matter of time before things click for these individuals individually. And you know what? It might click for one of them earlier than the other two. It might click for two of them. It might click all. I don't think it's all going to click at the same time, but once these guys get out of their own head and get out of their own issues, they're going to be able to start hammering the baseball again, and they're going to punish mistakes. And that's the biggest thing that we haven't seen out of these guys, is they haven't been able to hammer the mistakes. And I think that scares a lot of people when they watch it. They go like, oh, he can't hit this fastball anymore. Oh, he's not talented enough to hit mistakes anymore, which I don't believe is the case. And neither do the Padres. It's only a matter of time. And I know people don't want to hear that anymore. They want to see results. They want to see them today. They don't want to see them. They don't want to be paid, wait for them to happen. And I get that. I mean, it's May 18th now. It's not that early in the season anymore. We're drifting close. We're getting closer and closer to June, and we still haven't seen a home run out of Fernando. We still haven't seen Manny and Merrill get it going. But I think you are in agreement with me on this. I don't think they're done playing baseball.
No,
I don't think their career is over. I don't think they're done being good players. I think they have now added to this with a little bit of pressing themselves, and it's human nature. You can't really blame them for that.
It's unbelievably frustrating watching Machado ground into a double play and nearly every single time there's somebody on base with one out. But other than that, it's a slow start, quote unquote. I mean, that's really what it is. And as Manny said over the weekend, there was an article in the UT about it. He's not concerned. They're going to kick out of it at some point.
I think so too. We're going to kick into what's going on in sports outside of the Padres, which is obviously the biggest talking point here in town. What's going on in the sports world? Let's get to today's sports thread.
You know that group chat? The one that's always blowing up with the biggest sports takes, debates, and breaking news?
You got barbecue back there, and you didn't invite me?
Yeah, we've got that too. Welcome to the Sports Thread, where we break down the top 5 stories in sports, just like you would with your crew.
Oh, no! Disaster! What a bad idea!
No filters, no silence, just real talk.
All right, Frank, what do we got going on today?
We got a good amount of stuff, especially here coming from the college football world.
Number 1.
To start off, Jim Phillips and much of the ACC are now backing a 24-team college playoff, arguing that more access is necessary in today's era of super conferences, NIL, and expanded schedules. Supporters believe a larger playoff would keep more programs nationally relevant and create better postseason matchups, while critics worry it could water down the regular season stretch and stretch the calendar too far. With the SEC still favoring a smaller 16-team format, the future of the playoffs remains one of the biggest debates in college sports. Would a 24-team college playoff make the sport more exciting, or would expanding it too far make the regular season matter less? I don't know why I finished that.
Why did you ask that question? It's going to make it more. It's going to make it better. I sent you the graphic of the weekend. Since 2014, if they had a 24-team playoff, 80 different schools would have made the playoff over a 12-year stretch. Is that good or bad for college athletics?
That's bad.
Because it's not just the same 6 teams that we like all the time.
Exactly.
Yeah. Give me a break. San Diego State would have made the tournament.
There you go.
How much better? How great would that be for the Aztecs to make the college football playoff in town? How great would that be for college football?
Be great.
And what do you think would happen? All of a sudden, these players would start going to all these schools that can actually make it to the playoff. And guess what? These schools might not have flipped to these other conferences because they could make the playoff in their own conference. You would have everything back to the way it was. It was normal. The biggest reason why they had to make these like super conferences is because none of these schools had the gall to play each other and just play cupcakes, and TV was tired of paying for these lousy games, and so they started forcing these teams into conferences together so they could play bigger games because it was bigger revenue. Move it back. Everybody, make it automatic qualifiers. Move some of the teams back. It would spread the money around. It would spread the players around because everybody would have a shot to make the playoff. Anybody that's telling you otherwise is a dope and is influenced by the decisions that are being made. Don't let anybody gaslight you into thinking that if we add more teams, all of a sudden people aren't going to care about Michigan and Ohio State. Are you kidding me? That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. It's so stupid. These national pundits are dumb when it comes to catering to certain certain aspects of the game, certain interests. Before you listen to any national pundit about their high and mighty opinion about the college football playoff and how it's got to be less teams and all that stuff, see what their outlet is, see what their connection is, follow the money, make your own decision. These guys are dopes. It's going to make the regular season not matter. Oh, because all the basketball games in the regular season don't matter, right? Because they have this gigantic March Madness. They're expanding that, though. Like the college basketball is expanding their tournament, but God forbid we expand the football one, where there's 139 schools, and we're going to take 24. That's too much. Well, nobody's going to care in the regular season.
Well, folks, over the last 3 minutes, the only thing I have heard and have taken out of that is Braden has not thought about the feelings of the big corporation.
You know what? I never think about the feelings of big corporations.
He clearly does not care about hurting the feelings of the SEC and the Big Ten, for sure. Correct. He does not care.
Number 2.
And there's not going to be a ton of 8-4 teams making the playoff either. Go back and look through. There might be 2 that have ever done that at that point with the top 24. Make it automatic qualifiers.
The NFL is standing by its growing partnership with streaming services like Netflix and Amazon, despite criticism from fans, broadcasters, and President Trump. League executives argue that most NFL games are still air on free television and say streaming helps reach modern audiences in a changing media landscape. But with fans now needing multiple subscriptions to follow the league, concerns are growing about cost, accessibility, and whether the NFL is making it harder for everyday viewers to watch games. Would you rather the NFL keep games primarily on traditional television, or are streaming platforms simply the unavoidable future for sports?
I'd rather keep it on television. Here's the thing. Eventually, people are going to have enough, and they're not going to pay for it. I mean, that's the reality of the situation. People eventually be like, I can't afford this. I'm not paying for it. I did that with Netflix 2 weeks ago. There's no reason for me to pay for Netflix. There's nothing on there I like to watch. I'm not paying $20 a month for Netflix. I'm not going to pay for it. There's other things I have to pay for. Gas at Costco is almost $6. There's other stuff in life I have to pay for. You know what I'm not going to pay for? Entertainment at that point. You start prioritizing what's important to your life. And for people that the NFL is important, we'll continue to pay it. But I won't. I'm not going to pay for all these streaming platforms. Yesterday, if the game was on Peacock, I would have had to go to a bar to watch it. I wasn't going to sign up for Peacock to watch one Padres game. I was not going to do that. But those are individual decisions. And so eventually, the NFL, as greedy as they are, they're going to get to a point where they're going to be like, why isn't anybody signing up for all this stuff? Oh, I don't know, because we can't all afford it. That's why. Economics. People pay what things are worth. And once it gets to a level, it's not worth that anymore. They stop paying. That's why a lot of these streaming platforms lose subscribers. Why aren't we adding more subscribers to ESPN Plus? Oh, I don't know. Maybe because people don't think it's worth it. Or they keep canceling. I don't pay for streaming platforms for things that I do not use or watch. I don't have Apple TV Plus. What do I need that for? I don't watch any of those shows. It's simple economics here.
I have a response from the NFL to your rant just now. This is an official response. Just came down. Here it is.
Oh no. Anyway,
moving on. We're still going to be putting everything on streaming platforms.
Number 3.
They are. I just would rather watch it on television.
The Vegas Golden Knights were hit with a major punishment from the NHL after violating playoff media rules, losing their second round draft pick, while coach John Tortorella was fined $100,000. The penalties came after the team reportedly refused to fully open the locker room to media following its playoff series win to over the Anaheim Ducks. It is an unusually harsh move by the league and one that could impact Vegas long-term, especially since the franchise already lacks several future high draft picks because of past trades. Did the NHL go too far by taking away draft pick over media access violations, or is it important for a league to strictly enforce postseason rules?
Those are the rules, are they not?
Rules.
Those are rules.
Rules.
Here's the other thing too with like the sports and the media. The reason why they're all making all that money is because the games are on television. They have massive TV contracts. Like you're contractually obligated to talk to the media. You can't just be like, I'm too important for this. Those are the rules.
Losing a second-round pick, though?
They got to make an example of somebody. They said you can appeal. They might knock that off a little bit, but those are the rules. Those are the rules. It's like, just go talk to the media. What did Marshawn Lynch used to do? I'm just here so I don't get fined. It takes you 10 minutes. It's not even that hard to do.
Says the media guy.
You know what? It's simple. It's not rocket science.
From the beaches to the ballparks, from the gas lamp to North County, no one knows America's finest city like he does.
You can't just punt on a Manny Machado prime year.
He's a fourth-generation San Diegan, born and raised in the heart of this community. Passionate, opinionated, and always bringing you the real talk on your teams, your city, and everything in between.
Braden totally knows his stuff. He's ready for the next step. That guy is good.
Live and local, it's the Braden Surrenant Show.
But I think Braden's one of the up-and-coming young stars in the media game in San Diego.
Now, here's your host, Braden Surrenant.
New lunchtime hour on the Fan. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surrenant. This is the Braden Surrenant Show, live and local each and every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. It's great to be with all of you today, getting ready for Padres and Dodgers later on this afternoon. We were talking about it briefly about Merrill and Tatis and Machado, but we do want to talk a little bit more about them individually with some of the things that have been going on with their offensive approach, with the way they're playing on offense. Again, obviously, this Padres team is winning despite the production, or should I say lack thereof, from Jackson Merrill and Fernando Tatis Jr. and Manny Machado, right? I mean, the fact that they're 10 games above 500, a half game out of first place, plus 7 on the run differential, and their top 3 guys are not doing anything, it's honestly remarkable. It's really remarkable. The middle of their order, their role players all performing really well. You saw them re-engage in their approach over the weekend. We talked about that for the first couple of hours. You're just tuning in. It was reported in the daily newsletter from Kevin Acee about the fact that Steven Souza Jr. on Friday before the game said, we need to get back to doing what we do. We need to go back to our approach. We need to go back to what makes us successful. And the middle of the order started doing it. The top of the order did it too. I mean, they were hitting the ball really hard. I know a lot of people are tired of hearing that, but we went through all the numbers that they had, and analytically, it was only a matter of time before the Padres really started adding slug and really started lighting up a scoreboard. And sure enough, what happened on Saturday and Sunday? They lit up a scoreboard. I mean, you got guys like Gavin Sheets with an OPS of 2177 in the last 6 games. Guys, every single time he comes to the plate, you think the ball's going over the fence. You got guys like Rodolfo Duran getting his first knock of his major league career. He hit a home run. Nick Castellanos starting to hit a lot better. Miguel Andujar, who's been hitting well all season long, continues to hit at a high level. Xander Bogaerts putting together good at-bats. He's hitting really well. He's leading the Padres in a lot of offensive statistical categories. So it's not like it's not helping everybody. It's helping everybody to a certain extent. It's not like they're, whatever. It's not like this approach is hurting everyone. But for a while, when they got away from it, there was nobody that was doing well. This weekend, I think, was very encouraging for the offense. Now, it's not as encouraging for guys like Fernando and Jackson and Manny Machado. I mean, these are the guys that are supposed to be carrying your team to be a contender. I think it's coming around the corner. I think they're going to get to that level. And as we talked about to end the last hour, it's mechanical and it's mental more than anything else. This is not something that is showing their age. This is not something where they're losing productivity. They're losing a skill set. This is something that they can fix. Let's start with Jackson Merrill first. So Jackson dropped in the lineup over the weekend. I mean, he was batting leadoff for a couple of times. He has not had a lot of success batting leadoff in his career. He has not had a lot of success batting leadoff this season. He did a really good job at the beginning part of this year in leading off innings. And when the Padres were desperate to try to find a leadoff hitter on this team, it got to a point where let's see what Jackson can do. And so far in a couple of games, it hasn't been that much of an improvement to what they had already had. And in fact, it's kind of made Jackson a little bit worse in terms of like statistics. So he gets dropped down to 6 in the order. If we remember correctly, Jackson Merrill in the middle of the order, middle to bottom of the order, That's where he hit his rookie season, and he was great down there doing that. And a lot of people wanted to see him near the top of the order because of how great he was hitting near the bottom. Sometimes the role matters for the player. But where he is at mentally right now, and this is what the internally has been going on, the Padres think a lot of these problems for these three are mental and mechanical more than anything else. They want to reduce some pressure off of him mentally so we could just focus on passing the baton. And that's a big key team aspect for this offense right now is passing the baton. What that means is you're going to go up there, you're going to see pitches, you're going to grind out at bats, you're going to foul off pitches that you can't do damage on, you're going to spit on balls that are outside the zone, and you're going to hammer mistakes. If he doesn't give you any mistakes, if they don't give you any mistakes, and you grind out the at-bat and they end up walking you, fine, you move the line around. You move the line along. Pass the bat to the next guy, have him do the damage. This is a team-style approach, but the problem is you need everybody on the team to do that. And it's not like they're not trying. It's more of a sense that Jackson and Fernando and Manny are putting the pressure on themselves because they're not hitting at the level that they want to hit at. Let's go back to Jackson. The Padres, as mentioned before, clearly trying to reduce pressure on him mentally. And Craig Stammen admitted the move was partly about helping Merrill relax, which I think is very telling considering where he has been now in his junior year after what was a sophomore slump. But this season looks a lot more psychological as much as it is mechanical. Expanding the zone, chasing pitches, trying to force offense, losing confidence. The Padres still believe in the talent, but this has become one of the biggest storylines on this team. I mean, it's kind of been dropped to the back burner and put in the back burner because of Fernando and Manny kind of leading the way, but Jackson hasn't put that great of a season together either. And I also think it's pressing, Frank, when it comes to Jackson Merrill. I think it is a little bit of losing confidence. I think it is a little bit about some of the mechanical things. I think it's a little mental and trying to do more than they can right now instead of focusing on themselves and getting locked in themselves. And I think you're starting to see that with guys like Jackson Merrill. I don't mind him moving lower in the order. I really don't.
No, not at all. And Craig Stammen even said it pregame yesterday explicitly that this is batting towards the bottom of the order, batting that 6-7 spot in the order was where he was hitting when he was at his best during his rookie year. So maybe he is one of those guys that just hits a little bit better at the bottom of the order, which is okay. I mean, it's perfectly fine. He's already got his contract. He knows he's going to be here. He knows he's not going anywhere. So put him in a position where he could have the most success, not necessarily the stereotypical spot for his ability set in the lineup. You need him to get going first, and then you can worry about tinkering with his position in the lineup. So put him back where it's most comfortable for him. If it's the 9 spot, then fine, put him there. Get him going first, and then worry about where he could possibly fit in a different spot in the lineup.
I think so too. And here's the conversation that we had last week. Remember, everybody wanted to move these guys down. You need somebody to move up. I don't think moving everybody down is going to be the best thing for this team, but moving Jackson Merrill down in the order, I think is fine. If you want to move Manny as low as 5, I think that's probably fine, but I don't think it's really going to do anything. And I think at this point, without any leadoff guy, I think you got to have Fernando back at the leadoff spot. And I honestly think that says a lot about this team right now, the fact that they moved him back to the leadoff spot, because he returned there for the first time since April 4th. And that move feels less about sparking Tatis and more about desperation to find a lineup balance and put a leadoff guy out there. I mean, they have had zero success in finding a leadoff hitter that's not named Fernando Tatis Jr. I mean, absolutely zero success. I mean, they're looking for rhythm, confidence, table setters, offensive flow, talent at the top. And the only reason why people advocated for Fernando to not be in the leadoff spot was because Let's drive in more runs. Let's hit the ball over the fence with guys on base. We're tired of the solo home runs. Well, guess what? He's not even doing that anyway. You might as well put him back in the leadoff spot. We talked about that in the first hour, Frank, but at this point, nobody has really stepped up to be a leadoff hitter. And I think if somebody did, they would have kept him there. And so I think you got to go to, over the course of history, who on this team has been the best in the leadoff spot. It's been Fernando. I like him back in the leadoff spot.
Yeah, and you kind of got to go with history of the rest of these guys as well, and then kind of fit the other pieces around him, which is why I think you're seeing guys like Miguel Andujar batting second, because these are guys who are hot. It's going to make them pitch to the guy in front of them a little bit differently. So you try to spark them that way. Put them in their best position in order to get them going, and then worry about where you want to try to fit them in. And Fernando right now, leadoff spot, I think, is the right place for him.
I also think, and we're going to get to this when we come back on the offensive side, he DH a couple times in a row over the weekend. I feel like that's worth watching. Is he going to play? Is he going to be the DH tonight? I don't think so. Probably not. He's an elite glove at third base. Obviously, they're trying to get him going on offense as well, but they also want to keep him off his feet at this point in the year, because last year he kind of ran out of gas at the end of the year because the guy posts every day. The guy wants to play every day, which that's one of the most admirable things about Manny Machado. But I think Manny Machado DHing and the DH usage is worth watching. We'll explain when we come back on the Braden Surrenant Show, Static Zone Sports Station 97 through the Fan. 12:17 on a Monday here in America's finest city, coming off of a Padres sweep with the Seattle Mariners. If you want to join the show today, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. We have a pair of tickets to tomorrow's Padres-Dodgers game that we're going to be giving away in the 1 o'clock hour. Tickets at padres.com/tickets. Be listening in the 1 o'clock hour for today's trivia question to win Padres-Dodgers tickets for tomorrow's game. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973.
You said tonight's game?
Huh?
You said tonight's game?
Tomorrow's game.
So Wednesday's game.
It says you want a pair of tickets to tomorrow's game.
Oh, tomorrow. Okay, so tomorrow. The game is tomorrow.
The game is tomorrow. That would be tomorrow's game.
Trying to emphasize that it's tomorrow.
It's tomorrow's game. Tomorrow's game. What game? Tomorrow's game. All right, cool. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Let's get out to Alan in La Mesa. Alan, what's going on, man?
Oh, just cracking normal day today. Wanted to talk a little bit about hitting. Have they asked Andujar if he would be willing to lead off? I think he'd be better at the top and have Taddy hit second. And then if there's time to talk about Crony, he's not been moving his weight from back to front. He was leaning back and swinging up. And I think that's where his problem was.
Well, we talked a little bit about Cronenworth, of course. Again, we're going to be giving away the Padres-Dodgers tickets in the 1 o'clock hour. And we haven't seen him, obviously, because he's been on the concussion list. But the thing with Andujar, again, I said it with Cronenworth, sometimes guys benefit from the role that they have. And adding too much to their plate makes it more difficult for them, if that makes sense. I don't know if it does or not, but I just feel like why potentially ruin what has been so good for Andujar. And by the way, the track record of moving guys to the leadoff spot, Frank, has that really done well for them individually?
No, it hasn't.
No, not really.
It has been a black hole for averages. It has not helped. Anyone who has gone to that leadoff spot has seen their average just crumble.
It's not been very good. I mean, that's for everybody. The only one that hasn't, even this year, I mean, Fernando hasn't either. But it hasn't been great for the leadoff hitter. I guess you can try it, but what happens if that doesn't work? And now all of a sudden you got to nurse back Andujar like you had to do with Laureano and you had to do with Merrill and everything like that. I get it. I know where people are coming from that perspective, but at the same time, I just feel like let him succeed in the role that he is. I think I said the same thing about Merrill a couple of years ago when he was a rookie. Just let him stay down there and succeed. Let's talk about the situation with Manny, right? So Manny DH'd a couple of times in a row this weekend, which I think is a little significant. I mean, the Padres insist that he's healthy. I don't think he's really that banged up, but he had 2 straight days in which Andujar handled third base. And anytime a veteran superstar with past lower body issues begins getting regular DH maintenance, it becomes obviously something worth monitoring. I know they want to keep him off his legs a little bit. I don't think this is a showing of there's something underlining, like something bothering Manny. But I do think it's a little significant that he was DH in 2 days in a row. We'll see if he gets the start at third base tonight, because the Padres are a lot better with him at third base than they are with him DHing. I don't mind DHing Machado to get off his, for him to just get off his legs a little bit, get off his feet a little bit, but he's your best third baseman. It's not even close. I think Andujar filled it nicely at third base the last couple of days, but I will say this: that fly, there was one fly ball earlier in the contest yesterday in foul ground that got stuck between the Bermuda Triangle of Sheets, Bogarts, and Andujar. I think Manny catches that ball, and I don't even think it's that particularly close. So something to look for. But I just overall just kind of like recap and finish this segment off and this conversation about the offense. I mean, the Padres, I think, have done a really good job of getting back to the approach that they were looking for. And when they did that, they started to put together some pretty good at-bats. And then they started to get the results they were looking for. And I think the overall synopsis of this is that is the situation that is going to lead to the top of the order doing a lot of damage. Because the question of, like, are the Padres stars trying to do too much? I think they are trying to do a little bit too much right now. And I think when you see their reactions after the fact, you start to see them, they're in a press mode. I mean, Manny hustled big time down to first base on a double play ball that he usually doesn't run too fast on. And I'm always the believer of, like, I'd rather have Manny make it through the entire year than worry about getting hurt just sprinting to first. If you want to be an old person and, you know, be upset, like, well, back when I watched baseball, everybody ran down. Whatever. Guys get hurt in weird ways. I mean, you want him in the lineup more times than not. I don't really care if he doesn't go down to first, and everybody's star players don't do that anyway. But when you see him doing that on a ground ball, on a double play, when you see Fernando getting visibly frustrated with balls getting hit to the track, when you see Merrill give that look of, like, with the wide eyes, like, I can't believe I didn't just completely destroy that ball. Yeah, like, it's bothering them, and I think it leads to them putting at bats together that are a little bit too much. And I think at this point too, I think you put, with Jackson Merrill moving down in the lineup, I think that's good. I think that's good for Jackson. Out of the three, I think he's the one that's the easiest to move lower in the lineup. I still think you need Fernando batting leadoff. I still think you leave Manny in the 3 or the 4 spot offensively for this team. But I think you gotta slowly start getting some of them back almost individually, right? Work on Jackson Merrill not having any pressure, let him hit near the bottom of the order, which I think is going to pay dividends for him in the long run. And then if he starts hitting right, then you can move him up. Maybe you move Manny down. I still think Fernando in the leadoff spot's probably the best. But when you got guys, and here's the biggest takeaway on the offense, when you got guys like Ty France and you got guys like Miguel Andujar going out there and becoming essential pieces, that makes this lineup awesome. It makes it the depth unreal. I mean, national broadcast last night, Jason Benetti was talking about how deep that lineup was. I mean, Jason Benetti watches the Tigers on a daily basis. He's the Tigers play-by-play guy. And he was just applauding how deep the lineup seems like for the Padres. And that's with your stars not playing. It's for guys like Ty France and Miguel Andujar. France, 3 hits, 3 RBIs, continue to thrive in clutch situations. I mean, we talk about Miguel Andujar being a nice pickup at $4 million in the offseason, a free agent signing. How about Ty France? Invite to camp. I mean, what a great move that has worked out to be for the Padres this year. And this is the conversation we had in spring training, the difference between previous years where you were taking chances on guys. You're taking chances on younger players this time around. And I think you're seeing that with Ty France. I think you're seeing that with Walker Buehler on the mound, who again had a good outing for the San Diego Padres. Guys like Miguel Andujar, right? Guys like Nick Castellanos. These guys are younger chances. It's a lot easier to sell on than guys you take on that are trying to stay in the league. These are guys that are trying to get out of bad years, but not trying to survive and stay in the league. I mean, the free agents that the Padres brought in the past, those are guys who were just trying to battle to see if they had another year left. These guys are young players, they're proven players, and they're guys that are trying to get a new new environment, if you will. And I think Ty France and Miguel Andujar have done a phenomenal job. Probably Andujar a little bit more than Ty, but Ty France has been a great pickup for this team that we don't talk about enough. We really don't. Andujar, doubles machine. Doubles machine. He's been an elite 2-strike hitter. He's producing consistently without trying to overpower baseballs. Padres now won all 3 games of the weekend where Sheets, France, and Andujar started together. There's a little bit of a defensive risk with that, but offensively, the lineups they have thrown out there the last couple of days have been offensive-based lineups, and the team using their approach has created an offensive look. That's great to see. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. When we come back, we need contestants for a midday sports standoff. If you call in and take me down in some sports trivia, you'll be qualified for our grand prize, which involves a trip to Las Vegas. We'll talk more about that on the other end. Braden Surrenant Show, Stadium's number one sports station, 97 through the Fan. $12:34 on a Monday. Getting close to the midday sports standoff. We need some contestants. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. If you take me down to sports trivia, you will be qualified for a shot at our grand prize, a $500 gift card to Westgate, Las Vegas, the home of legendary Vegas fun. Now offering the breakaway from fees package, including a $75 daily dining credit, 2-day spa passes, daily cabaret tickets, complimentary valet parking, and zero resort fees. Special rates starting at $89 a night. Book now at westgatelasvegas.com. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. Try to get a contestant for a midday sports standoff. If you want to join the show today, call us the same number. Dexter in Spring Valley called in just a moment ago. Dexter, you're on the Braden Surrenant Show. What's going on, man?
Sorry to burst everybody's bubble. This is not a sports take. This is an actual major San Diego traffic freeway up breaking news. The 805, both north and southbound, is come to a complete stop at Balboa Avenue. Major law enforcement closure. Both sides are down to one lane. There are multiple law enforcement vehicles, sheriff, city, CHP, marked and unmarked. And right now they're in the process of, I don't know what's going on. It's all happening on the overpass, the bridge, but it's wall to wall over there. It's impossible to get through. I've been sitting here for the last 45 minutes trying to make my way to get into that one lane to let us through. But they've completely shut down the freeway, and they've shut down Balboa. So be prepared for that. Plan accordingly, because I don't know what's going on, but it's like black and whites and unmarked police vehicles and everything are all over the place there. So fellow Padres fans, and even if you're a Doyer fan, there you go. But if you can avoid the area, please do so. So there you go. Courtesy for all you guys, because I don't think your traffic reporters would have caught that. Not until rush hour.
Well, we do not have, we don't have traffic. We're working on a news update as of right now. We appreciate the forward along, Dexter. Please stay out of the Claremont area. As the San Diego Police Department has put out on social media, San Diego Police Department is on scene at the Islamic Center of San Diego in the 7,000th block of Ekstrom Avenue for a reported active shooter. Please avoid the area. Updates to follow. That was from the San Diego Police Department just moments ago at the beginning, top of the hour at noon. So those are the reports that is going on right now in San Diego. So obviously some information that we will pass along. We're working on a news update for you. We don't get traffic updates usually during our show. It's not usually heavy traffic time for us, but we appreciate Dexter and Spring Valley passing that along. We will keep you updated on anything that's going on, in which we get if we get more information on it as we go. But according to the San Diego Police Department on social media, they have put this out 35 minutes ago. SDPD is on scene at the Islamic Center of San Diego in the 7,000th block of Ekstrom Avenue for reported active shooter. Please avoid the area. Updates to follow. We will keep you updated, and obviously, hope for everybody to be as safe as possible. Let law enforcement do their job to make our community safe. So we'll keep you updated on what's going on with that as best we can. Obviously, we are a sports show. Don't have a lot of news updates. We do as the local San Diego sports station and the number one San Diego sports station. We do want to pass along major news in the community if it impacts a lot of you guys out there. So 805 is a mess right now. And if you're anywhere close to the Claremont area, please avoid that area as much as possible. Again, the 7,000th block of Ekstrom. If you look at that on like a map, that is basically Balboa Avenue and the 805 on the west side of the 805 freeway over. That's the area that San Diego Police Department has put out there. So 805 north and south in that area is backed up. Obviously, they're dealing with an active shooter over there in the 7,000th block of Ekstrom. This is the information that was passed along about 26 minutes ago. Fox 5 reporting that the police have responded to reports of an active shooter at the Islamic Center of San Diego earlier this afternoon. Heavy police and SWAT presence could be seen gathering outside the Islamic Center in the 7,000th block of Ekstrom Avenue just after noon. Several San Diego fire rescue and medic crews were also at the scene. They have a lot of updates getting put through on news. Again, we're working on a news update for you there. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Again, we're a sports station, so we're gonna keep you updated as much as we can, but also here to talk about sports that's going on in San Diego as well. Padres and Dodgers will be going on later on tonight at 6:40. EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show will be at 5:40 with Sam Levitt. We got Gwen and Chris coming on after us at 2 o'clock. But the overall synopsis of the weekend, as we've talked about before with the Padres, is the Padres offensively starting to make way, starting to trend in the right direction. We haven't had too much time to talk about Lucas Giolito, but Giolito was added to the roster for Alec Jacob, who was added to the roster on Friday for Matt Waldron. Matt Waldron got placed on the injured list. I think that was a little surprising for a lot of people. On Friday, sounds like he will be still part of this organization, and we've talked about it before. They're kind of kicking the can down the road when it comes to the roster, if you will. So Alec Jacob came up to kind of give the bullpen some extra innings, and then Lucas Giolito replaced him on Sunday to be part of this rotation. He made his Padres debut and largely delivered. I mean, he had 5 strong innings. He only allowed 1 hit through the 5 innings. Unfortunately, he gave up 3 runs. Most of those runs were given up by Yuki Matsui as inherited runners. But he managed the traffic well. I think he showed veteran composure, and his rough 6th inning actually reinforced why the Padres signed him. They need competent innings eaters who stabilize games, and Giolito admitted he lost focus after the Padres exploded offensively during the long 6th inning, where they put up a ton of runs, but oddly enough, that's almost encouraging. The issue wasn't really lack of stuff. It was maintaining rhythm after sitting during a huge offensive inning, and you look at the way Lucas Giolito pitched, that's something you could definitely build off of in the starting rotation. And you can build off of that moving forward. But it's very fixable, the little problems that he may have had. But I was very encouraged, Frank, with the way that Lucas Giolito pitched yesterday. I really was.
Yeah, no, he looked great. He looked like he was major league ready. And I think that's one of the major things that you were concerned about was with him having really no spring training. You were really relying on him and him saying that he's been working on an off-season program that would pretty much be his normal program for what he has during the regular season. You were really relying on that, and only a couple starts in maybe 2-3 weeks down in the minor leagues to ramp up and get ready to go. So for him to go out there and throw with no spring training, taking him at his word, 4 minor league starts, 5+ innings of one-hit baseball and those 3 runs that were charged to him, that was darn good for him to get out there and to show going into this season.
Absolutely. Do you have the news update for us?
I do.
All right, let's real quick for everybody that's driving around. Obviously, there's some big news in San Diego. We want to keep you updated on that, and then we're going to transition back to our sports conversation for the rest of this hour. But there is some news going on in Claremont right now. The San Diego Police Department is asking you to avoid the area, but here's the latest news that we have gotten on a news update in the Claremont area.
Dorothy Tran for Odyssey San Diego. The San Diego Police Department and SWAT team are responding to reports of an active shooter at the Islamic Center of San Diego at the 7,000 block of Ekstrom Avenue in Claremont. Nearby schools are being evacuated and neighbors are being asked to stay inside. We'll keep you updated as the story develops.
Latest report from the San Diego Union Tribune on that as well. Emergency services are there on scene and actively working to protect the community and secure the area. That was from Mayor Todd Gloria that he posted on X about being aware of the situation over there in Claremont. So again, stay out of the area if you can. We will keep you updated on anything else that happens in that particular situation and any other updates that need to be passed along to everybody else in the community. Again, stay away from the 7,000th block of Ekstrom over in the Claremont area. That would be West Balboa of the 805. So just off the 805 on Balboa Avenue, west side of the 805, there is an active shooter situation at the Islamic Center over there on Balboa Avenue. So we're going to continue to talk, again, transition back into Padres baseball. We're a sports show. We want to keep you updated on things as they happen in the news when we can. But to go back to what happened over the weekend, again, we talked about the offense a lot. The pitching situation is interesting for the Padres because of the fact that it's the starting rotation needs to be solidified. And you need to have a couple more arms available, if you will, in that starting rotation to help and get through the year. And the back end has not been very good. But the thing is, you can't have a bunch of number 5 starters on your team. Like, you only need like one of those guys to be a number 5 starter. Walker Buehler, I think, is playing in the number 5 spot. I think Griffin Canning has shown that he could be a number 4. And you're really looking for Lucas Giolito to go out there and be a number 3. And Frank, I think Lucas Giolito went out there yesterday and looked like a number 3.
Yeah, for sure. And it's only one start. We saw how Griffin Canning looked in his first start, and then he kind of fell apart after that. Has had a couple of bad outings. He'll get the middle game of this 3-game series against the Dodgers starting tomorrow. Now it's how does Lucas Giolito build on this? He had a great season last year, probably wanted a little too much money this year for his injury history, which is why he was on the IL, which is why he was a free agent for so long. And now he's showing that at least this first outing showed that, yeah, this was very much a valuable pickup for the Padres and well worth the wait for them.
Yeah, I think it's great. I mean, if you look at it at the way he pitched yesterday, he needed to be somewhat of a 3. I mean, I had that conversation with some people on Thursday, and he's like, well, if you're really relying on Lucas Giolito to be the savior of this rotation, it's going to be tough. I don't think that's the case. I think they want him to be like a number 3. And he's coming out. It's a contract year for him, obviously. He's hungry to go get that big deal. I think he waited to kind of see where everything was for Major League Baseball before he made that decision on where he would sign. And now he gets an opportunity to showcase his skills, and he gets to do it on a team that's competitive and near the top of the standings in the National League West and in the National League in general. And, it's unfortunate his ERA is like a 5 after yesterday because I think he pitched a lot better than that. But with Michael King being a number 1 and with Randy Vasquez pitching like a 2 or a 1, Giolito being a 3, Canning being a 4, and Buehler being a 5, Padres are in a lot better shape now, I think, from a rotation standpoint, going into the trade deadline and going into the second half of the season than they were about a month ago. And I also think, I mean, this lays up perfectly for don't need to rush back Nick Pivetta, don't need to rush back Joe Musgrove. Let those guys heal, rest up, and be ready for the end of the season where you could put this all together, and then you have a lot more pitching than you would think. And again, we've talked about this before. They continue to kick the can down the road on roster decisions, Frank. They did it again by putting Matt Waldron on the injured list. They're going to be, obviously, he's part of this org still. They've done I think they've done a phenomenal job of keeping as many of these pitchers on this team as possible.
Yeah, they have. And you're using the IL to its full extent. And again, you're kicking this can further and further and further down the road on whether or not you need to make a decision. But also now you mention these guys coming in, you don't have to worry as much about getting Nick Pivetta back as quickly as possible or getting Joe Musgrove back as quickly as possible. You've also got more help coming. All those guys down in the minor leagues that you were able to keep after spring training. You've also got guys like Johnny Brito who are returning. You have other younger players that are coming up and making a name for themselves and seeing that they could possibly fill out a little bit of depth. We talked about Jackson Wolf last week quite a bit. So they have plenty of options now, but Lucas Giolito was a genuine, true major league arm that they were able to pick up. And again, after one start at least, it's proving like that was a big stabilizer that the starting rotation needed.
Yeah, I think so too. And the other thing too, like we talked about it with Brian Yancelson. Yeah, Johnny Brito, that could be part of this deal. You have the guys still in AAA that can help. I think the Padres have a lot of arms that can get them to the finish line at the end of the year. But more importantly, I think they could get to the trade deadline and then see what happens. See what AJ Preller can put together. See what they can establish from the starting pitching. But I thought Lucas Giolito's start yesterday was very promising. His changeup looked really good. Overall, he looked, I thought great at times. And the biggest problem that he had was he had to wait too long. And you know what? If that's the biggest problem of him waiting on the bench too long because the offense is hitting, that's a good problem to have. It really is. So the Padres desperately need dependable rotation innings right now. I mean, they got bullpen workloads are climbing, uncertainty behind the top starters, Matt Waldron situation unresolved. And, I thought that situation was interesting that he gets put on the injured list. But at this point, I think the Padres got to try to do everything in their power to try to keep some of these guys around. I mean, he reportedly has avoided a potential DFA because of an arm issue. Timing naturally created skepticism because the Padres were nearing a roster decision. The injury conveniently delayed it. But according to multiple team sources, Waldron had been receiving treatment already for this injury, and he reportedly had worsening discomfort while trying to keep his role. This situation feels important because it reflects the broader rotation instability, at least until Lucas Giolito showed back up. And, the back end of the rotation is still a work in progress, but I think the way Giolito pitched yesterday kind of solidified the rotation just a little bit more. We have another update on the situation in Claremont. The San Diego Police Department has said that the scene at 7050 Ekstrom Avenue is still active, but it is contained, and we have significant resources on scene at this time. We have established a reunification location at 4125 Hathaway Street, San Diego, California, 92111. San Diego Police Department, again, reporting active shooter situation in the 7000th block of Ekstrom Avenue. That's on the west side of the 805 off Balboa. It is still active, but the police department have contained it. They have announced significant resources are on scene at this time. And again, for people that are affected by this, there is an established reunification location at 4125 Hathaway Street, San Diego, California, 92111. 4125 Hathaway Street, San Diego, California, 92111. So again, that is the reunification location for people obviously that have been affected by this. We will have some special traffic reports coming about this situation shortly. We're working on that for you. Again, a active shooter situation in the 7,000th block of Ekstrom Avenue over in the Claremont area. We will keep you updated as much as we can, being a sports station that we are, trying to give you the local, news as it comes about. So we'll have a specific traffic report coming shortly. We'll keep you updated on what the police department has as well here as we continue into our final hour of the Braden Surrenant Show. Gwen and Chris will take over for us at 2 o'clock. Obviously, they're going to talk some Padres baseball over the weekend, talk Padres Dodgers coming up this week. They'll lead you into the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show, but they'll also probably keep you updated on the local news here in town as well. So working on those reports. Again, there's an established reunification location, 4125 Hathaway Street, San Diego, California, 92111. Final hour of the Braden Surrenant Show when we come back. Final hour of the Braden Surrenant Show on a Monday in San Diego. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surrenant. San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Padres and Dodgers coming up at 6:40 Pacific time. EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show will be at 5:40 with Sam Levitt. No day games this week. It'll be all night games. It'll be a 6:40 start tonight, a 6:40 start tomorrow, and a 5:40 start on Wednesday. Now, tomorrow, listen up during this hour. We are going to be giving a Padres Dodgers trivia question. And the first one to call in this hour and answer the trivia question correctly will win tickets to tomorrow's Padres Dodgers game. Got to be able to hear the question later on in this hour. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. We will have that question for you in going into the break. That's going into the last segment of the show here in the 1 o'clock hour. You can win tickets. Now, if you want to get tickets, you can still get tickets to Padres and Dodgers tonight, tomorrow, and Wednesday. Tickets are at padres.com/tickets. We're broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios. We know how. We were talking about the Padres and their offense before we preview a little bit of Padres and Dodgers later on. We were talking about their pitching staff, actually, as a matter of fact. But as most of the day today, we've talked about the offense and we've talked about the Padres going back to their approach and then reaping the benefits of it over the weekend. For some of them. The Padres, like the top three guys, again, we've talked about this ad nauseum all year. The Jackson Merrill, Fernando Tatis Jr., Manny Machado situation, right? That situation's a little bit different. But the rest of the offense is doing good things. At least this weekend. I think it's going to build into the rest of the week. And you know what they did? They didn't wait for the offense to improve. I mean, one of the biggest revelations from this weekend is that the Padres organization has been aggressively trying to diagnose and fix the offense almost since opening week. Manager Craig Stammen, in an article written by Kevin Acee today, quote, "We were like a week in and we were trying to figure it out." That matters because publicly the Padres have consistently projected calm. The offense will be fine. The numbers will normalize. The stars will hit. You know, the same stuff that we've been talking about on the show. But internally, the Padres have had this clear urgency and concern for weeks. The organization has reportedly examined how information is presented to hitters, what information is being emphasized, hitters' meeting structures, terminology, game planning approaches, preparation methods. I mean, everything you could possibly think of to try to simplify the approach, simplify the offense, and get more slug and more runs on the board. That tells you that this wasn't viewed as a simple slump, but it was viewed as, we got to fix something with the offense here. And Steven Souza Jr., the hitting coach, which, by the way, Nick Castellanos had some high praise for him over the weekend, which I thought was great. But he finally delivered a message that landed to this team. You know, he's become the most scrutinized figures around the team during the offensive struggles. Every hitting coach is. It's what you sign up to be when you become a hitting coach of a Major League Baseball team. And notably, he didn't run from the accountability. He had this quote in the paper. I'm the head hitting coach, so I'm responsible for this. That's what leadership is. Leadership is taking responsibility for results. Steven Souza Jr. is doing that with the offense. But the article written by Kevin Acee strongly suggests that the Padres clubhouse is rallying around Souza rather than blaming him. Craig Stammen, Nick Castellanos, Manny Machado all went out of their way to defend Steven Souza Jr., and I do think that is significant. Because when a hitting coach starts publicly absorbing blame, clubhouses can get a little fractured. They can start changing a little bit. The narrative starts to change, right? Is this information good? Is this what I want to hear? Is this preparation the proper preparation? You start to have those doubts. But instead, the Padres players are essentially saying that the information is good. The preparation is good. The execution is the issue. And Manny Machado flat out said, it's the players. This is us. Which is it's a notable quote from a superstar veteran who is also struggling because it removes the easy scapegoat narrative that a lot of people want to get down the road of blame the hitting coach. The Padres internally believe the offense became mentally greedy. Like, this is probably the single most important takeaway from the article from Kevin Acee. The Padres internally believe that hitters stopped trusting the process, started over swinging, chased too much, and tried to force offense individually. And Souza explained it directly. We kind of swung it a little bit more and chased a little bit more, but got a little bit greedy at times. That's the word that sticks out. That's the word that matters. Greedy. The Padres think the offense drifted away from line drives, patient aggression, situational hitting, pass the baton baseball. And they started trending towards trying to hit home runs constantly, trying to save the offense individually, forcing production. That aligns perfectly with what's happening with Fernando and Jackson and Manny. All at the same time. The organization clearly believes pressing and frustration has created the mechanical problems that you've seen out of those three hitters. Friday's hitters meeting. This is what I was talking about at the beginning part of the show that Kevin Acee wrote about in his daily newsletter. Friday's hitters meeting might have changed some things. According to multiple people present, Steven Souza Jr., hitting coach for the Pods, delivered a firm message before Friday's game. The hitters had abandoned their identity, and the response was immediate because over the series, this weekend, offense looked alive. 26 hits, massive jump in line drives, more hard contact, less chasing, better situational hitting, more damage against starters. The key adjustment, they stopped trying to do too much, which sounds very simplistic, but as noted in this offensive article in the UT, it repeatedly frames it as a central breakthrough for this team. And the Padres offense wasn't necessarily broken physically. It was broken more mentally and philosophically. You want to look at the Padres struggles? Especially against starting pitching? They fixed some of that over the weekend, didn't they? Padres' struggles against starting pitchers became alarming internally. It was like, oh, we should probably figure this out. One of the craziest stats you'll ever see. Entering yesterday, the Padres were worst in Major League batting average versus starters, a 209 average, worst in Major League Baseball OPS versus starters. Yet against relievers, league average batting average, and a top 10 OPS. They dominated relievers. The concern, of course, was the hitters may have been entering games over-prepared for specific pitching plans and then becoming reactive when starters attack differently, which is fascinating because it suggests almost paralysis by analysis, overthinking at bats, scouting overload, and that could have been contributing to a lot of the offensive struggles for the Pods. And Souza basically admitted there's a balance. You prepare hitters with game plans, but baseball still requires reaction and trust. So, you finally saw the Padres' offensive identity become clear this weekend. The series against the Mariners gave the clearest picture that you'll see about what the Padres want to be offensively. It's not pure slugging or launch angle or all or nothing. Instead, line drives, thinking hard contact, thinking disciplined aggression, forcing mistakes, pressure offense, passing the baton. That is what you're looking for in this offense. That's the identity. It actually fits their personnel better. And when you get away from that, you wonder why the offense doesn't do as well. Especially because Tatis is the most dangerous, athletic, reactive player in baseball. Merrill thrives on spraying the ball over the field. Machado, elite when he's simple. And Gavin Sheets is succeeding through zone discipline. You've seen that all weekend long. The Padres rediscovered who they are supposed to be. So I'm sure the debate about Steven Souza Jr. isn't going to go away. He'll be under the microscope because he is the 10th Padres hitting coach in 13 seasons. And he is attached to an offense still ranked near the bottom overall. But this weekend clearly pushes back against the idea that coaching is a central problem of this offense. And Castellanos gave such a great defense of Steven Souza Jr. Hitting is the hardest thing to do in sports, regardless of what the approach is. So the Padres believe this is more about execution and trust than bad coaching. Whether fans buy that will be a different story. But I think that's a reason for optimism going into this week against the Dodgers. I think the offense is trending in the right direction. As we look at this offense, Frank, and everything that was laid out over the weekend, I think this is a sign of good news for the Padres moving forward, and they might have fixed the underlying problems that they may have had.
I think so. To be able to, every now and again, you do need one of those come to Jesus meetings where you just air out everything and just try to work and figure out what's going wrong and how to get back to where you need to be. So if that is the case, if that's what happened after Milwaukee, you had a decent amount of time on the flight between Milwaukee and Seattle in order to do that, you know what? Then good on them. They got it figured out. They acknowledged the problem. They didn't hide from it. They didn't try to work around it. And good on Steven Souza Jr. and the rest of the staff for bringing it to attention now and nipping it in the bud now when there's plenty of time instead of letting it fester and letting it really get out of hand. Not to say it hasn't been out of control, but in order to get it now, good on them for getting it done, doing what they needed to do.
I think so too. I mean, at this point, I think what was the biggest worry from most of the people that have called into our show or put any type of comment in the YouTube chat about the offense is I think they were worried in the sense of they're not going to try to fix anything, and this is just who they are. And no matter what we said, Frank, about the analytics and what we said about the approach, it was I'm watching these guys with my eyes, and they don't look like they're very good, or it's going to end up flipping things around, and only a couple of guys are playing at a high level. Right now, the way that they all played collectively over the weekend, in this information, I think is very important because we said it going into the weekend about the hitting. Unless you know what the hitting approach is, unless you're part of those hitting meetings, you don't know what the approach is, nor do you know what they're working on, nor do you know what their game plan is. So you can't say the game plan sucks if you don't know what the game plan is, because you don't even know if they're executing the game plan or not. And we had somebody pop off the other day about executing and results are like that. What was he saying? I forgot what he was saying. It was so dumb about executing the game plan. There are some times you just don't execute. And you could play well and not execute. I mean, you could the game plan could still be. Oh, that's what he said. It's like the game plan. Just because the game plan, if the game plan doesn't work, if you don't execute, it means the game plan doesn't work. That's not the case. There are plenty of times where the game plan works, and if you just executed what you were told to do, good things would happen. You finally got to see, I think, the Padres execute the game plan that they wanted. And you saw the offense. And I think there's something to be said about maybe paralysis by analysis. Sometimes there's just, you and I go through over all this information. This is a lot of information for hitters to process while also having to go out there and be an athlete. And not everybody can do that.
Yeah, it's hard for us to do it just by just sitting here and trying to regurgitate it back to you guys in a way that everyone can understand it. Now, imagine trying to, 1, get that information, 2, process it, 3, put it into terms that you can understand, and then going out there and actually physically doing it, not just physically doing it, but going and doing it at a professional level. That's not easy to do. It's not easy for us, and we're not doing it we're not going out there and actually putting the action into practice at a professional level. We're just sitting here talking about it. It's difficult.
It's just a lot of information. I mean, you saw a lot of players in the past, like Will Myers got too much information, and you could see it affected him. Not everybody is going to like all that information. Not everybody's going to be able to process all that information. I mean, this is the, you have to find what works for your team. And as a coach, I have to do that every year. It's different because you have a different team every year. And for a guy like Steven Souza Jr., he gets all the information he needs on a scouting report for a pitcher. It's how does he address that? How does he present that to his hitters? Or it works for everybody individually, because it doesn't always work. It's not the same cookie cutter response every time, because everybody is different, and you have to find what guys like what information, and he's going to have to change to everybody's liking to get the right results. And right now, I think you're seeing some success with some of the role guys, but they got to be able to get the top 3 guys on this team on board with it. Not on board. They're on board. They know that they're getting presented the right information and all that other stuff. But it's to how do they present it where it works for them and they could go out there and be athletes. I think that might be the next challenge for the Padres. But this is why when we have these conversations, it's not a time to freak out. It's not a time to freak out about this, because they are putting in the work behind the scenes to fix what could be problems. And again, that could be too much information. That could be how they present it. That could be, maybe the right or wrong information. It sounds like from all the hitters, they're getting a lot of great information. They just got to go out there and execute, and they got to go play. And I think you saw a taste of that this weekend against the Mariners, and probably a big reason why they ended up sweeping Seattle. They get ready for a game against LA. We're going to get to that conversation a little bit later in this in this hour. We're going to talk about what San Diego FC did over the weekend. But as we go to break, we got another news update for you on the situation at Ekstrom Avenue, at 7050 Ekstrom Avenue. Here's our latest update.
Jeremy Pritchard for Odyssey San Diego. An update on the neutralized. Officials are asking that people still avoid the area around Balboa and the 805. A reunification center has been set up for families affected. You'll find that at 4125 Hathaway Street. More details as the story continues to develop.
1:23 on a Monday. Padres and Dodgers getting ready to go at 6:40 p.m. Pacific time. Eco Water SoCal Padres pregame show at 5:40. Gwen and Chris coming up next on San Diego's number one sports station, 97.3 The Fan. All right. We are going to talk about Padres and Dodgers when we come back. We will also be giving away tickets to Padres and Dodgers for tomorrow. We have a trivia question for you that we're going to get to as we go to break. If you correctly call in and answer the trivia question for today's ticket, you will win tickets to Padres and Dodgers for tomorrow's game. So we will have that for you in just a little bit. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Well, San Diego FC didn't lose, but it sure felt like a loss on Saturday, did it not?
Oh boy. Yeah, no, that was a stunner. That was a heartbreaker after all of that goodwill and all of that good fortune that they were able to build up. Finally, they looked like they were about to do unto others what they have had done unto them on multiple different occasions over the last couple of months, only for it to get washed away because Manu Dua lost his guy. Happens, but frustrating. Frustrating, annoying. You had it. You almost stole a game against the team that I don't think you've ever played in your franchise history that has not won during the regular season, has not won away from their home ground, and it just out the window.
You were at the game, were you not?
I was at the game on Wednesday. I was not.
Oh, you're not at the game yesterday. But that was like they scored so late, and you thought, finally, let's put something together here, and it's 2 wins in a row, and just it's with the defense.
Yeah, this one again. It's one of those things when you score. Now, I don't remember how much added time was given, because sometimes if, like, say there's 5 minutes of added time given, if there's a delay of like a minute and a half, they will tack that on. They will add it on at the back end, so it's not a strict 5 minutes. Depends on the official when that happens. But Ingvartsen scores in the 90th minute +6. That's like death knell. You're done. It's over after that. And you're not thinking, okay, they're probably only going to get a couple seconds here after they kick the ball off because they have to kick it off. Only get a couple seconds, don't have to worry too much, and just off with a win. We stole a win here. But that wasn't the case. It's almost as if they weren't ready, and Manu Dua was caught double covering the guy in the middle, because I think, if I remember right, they had 3 forwards up. The forward in the middle had his guy on him, and Manu Dua was kind of shading towards him, leaving Barlow on the far side completely open. So when that cross came in, it was just when the save was made, it was just an easy touch for Barlow to just tap it in. And I mean, that's just a heartbreaker, just a bad way for that match to end, especially when it looked like you had so much momentum finally getting back on your side after 2 long months, and it's just gone.
You know, and at least at this point, they didn't lose.
They did not lose. Again, it's been the same story the last month or so. They had a win, and in the last seconds, they lost it.
Let's take a look at, by the way, we got some sports news for you. Padres just put this out. Do you want to guess what the sports award is this week for the Pods? That we kind of hinted already at the beginning of the show.
Could it possibly be an outstanding performer of the week?
Oh, like a player of the week?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
National League Player of the Week.
Yeah. Could it? Manny had a good week this week. I don't know. Oh, God. Freddie Fermin, solid behind the plate defensively.
This is worse than you knowing what time it is.
I might have to give it to Gavin Sheets though.
Yes. Gavin Sheets, National League Player of the Week. You ready for these numbers?
Go for it. I think we've said them already, more or less.
More or less, yeah. He was first in everything in the National League last week in every category.
That's pretty good.
625 average, 739 on base, 1438 slug, 2177 OPS, 4 home runs, 23 total bases.
We gave every single one of those numbers except for the total bases.
I didn't think those were as important, but
no RBIs though. They swapped RBIs and total bases.
So, you know why? Because all of those things he has control over. He has no control over RBIs. I think that solidifies why you don't need to use RBIs as a key stat anyway. How can you drive in runs if nobody's on base? How can you? I guess he drove himself in 4 times. That had to be the first. That had to be the one category he wasn't first in the National League in, because if he was, they would have posted it.
4 RBIs then. 4 personal RBIs. Or runs scored. Sorry, runs.
4 runs scored at least. I mean,
4 runs scored. My bad.
He reached base in every plate appearance yesterday. Amazing. What a great pickup. Where's that guy? Where's that? What's his name?
Oh, Woodsy retweeted him about 5 times last night. So
he's starting to block Padres fans.
Oh no! I wonder why.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh no! Why is he blocking Padres fans?
Oh no! It's the consequences of my actions.
What was it, like Sox Optimist or something like that? Which is hilarious. He's like, he tweeted out in 2025. LOL to Padres fans. What did he say? Like LOL to Padres fans about Gavin Sheets?
No. Let me get Woodsy's Twitter up here.
It's pretty funny. I mean, he basically was saying, because the White Sox DFA'd Gavin Sheets, and it was basically.
Yeah, Sox Optimist said on February 21st of last year, quote, "I invite you all to have a good laugh at Padre fans getting excited about Gavin Sheets today."
Oh, man. The first comment's the funniest one. It was like, I think it was that day or maybe the next day. He takes a screenshot of the bookmarks. It had 3. And he said, "Do it. Go ahead. Do it." Hasn't really worked out.
You know what? Actually, that would be a very good, that would be a fun little exercise to do right now. Let's see how many bookmarks that tweet
It's
has.
up to like 280, at least this morning it was.
272.
Oh, my God. You got to go back and delete that. I agree with Go Aztecs in the Twitch chat. You can't leave that up there.
Oh, no. It's on the internet forever.
Yeah, people are just going to post a screenshot of it now?
Yep. Oh, yeah.
National League Player of the Week, Gavin Sheets. How about it? He's been a solid pickup for the Padres, like overall. Like somebody said, like, how could he be pretty good? He's been the Player of the Week. Yeah, this week he was outstanding. But, like, I mean, just in general, he's been such a great find for AJ Preller.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Absolutely.
All right, time to get to today's trivia question. If you were the first one to call in and answer this correctly, you will win tickets to Padres and Dodgers tomorrow. Our tickets are for tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
You can get your tickets at Padres.com/tickets. All right, you ready for this?
I don't need to be ready. The callers need to be ready.
Well, you need to know the answer, too. So
yeah, you can tell me that off air. I don't need to guess that.
When the Padres played the Dodgers in 1996 to clinch the division, they had to win 3 games in a row in L.A. The game that went to 11 innings, they scored 2 runs at the top of the 11th. Which San Diego Padre drove in those 2 runs in the 11th inning that led to the Padres winning the division in 1996? First one to call in, tell us the player that drove in those 2 runs on September 29th, 1996 to beat the Dodgers and win the division will win today's tickets. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. When we come back, we'll preview Padres Dodgers. Braden Surrenant Show, Settings Number One Sports Station 97 to the Fan. I just saw this retweeted by Sushi Sam on Twitter. It's an account, Baseball's Greatest Moments. Have you seen that account?
I've seen too much of it, honestly.
It tweeted out, what's a baseball tradition from your childhood that no longer exists? To which this guy, Gersh Online, said, you ready for this? This one gets you in the feels. Paper All-Star ballots. Do you remember those? Do you remember walking around the ballpark and they had the little stands for the All-Star voting?
Yes.
And you get the paper All-Star ballot out, and they had the little, like, you had to get like a little pencil.
Yes.
To pop the holes out of the deal. And then you like signed up to potentially win a grand prize package for 2 to go to the All-Star game. You had to like throw it in you had the little mail-in slot at the ballpark. Oh, so great. So great. Still vote for every Padre just in case. I would always do that as a kid. It's like, all right, National League, all Padres. American League, let's see how this guy's doing. I like this guy. I like this. I like the Angels. Don't put that on there. That was so fun as a kid. Now you have to like sign. You got to do it online and all that other stuff. I remember they used to like they like announce it at the ballpark, and then the ushers would be like passing out the ballots. Who wants a ballot? Who wants a ballot? No hanging chads, man. Make sure you punched it all the way through. Don't punch 2. Wouldn't count. That was fun. It was a good time. Anything else sticks out to you? Baseball tradition from your childhood that no longer exists.
I don't necessarily know if this is a baseball tradition or not, but more like a stadium tradition. My uncle brought it up a while ago with how open stadiums are now.
Mm-hmm.
To be able to walk through the tunnel as a kid, especially to walk through the tunnel and just see the stadium slowly appear in front of you. That's something that with open stadiums now is completely disappearing. That was always fun. So much fun to see as a kid.
What was it? What did you say?
Just like walking, like how
the tunnel?
Yeah, like how you had the tunnel from the concourse into where the seats were.
And it would be like the dark tunnel, and then it just...
Yep, and then just the stadium slowly appearing in front of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. I remember. There's a couple of different areas of Petco where you can still get that experience, but not a ton.
Yeah.
Or like, I remember walking around Qualcomm. You would walk, and like you were saying, instead of walking through the tunnel, you're just walking around the concourse at the plaza level, and you would like peek and you'd see the field. And that was awesome for football too. I mean, just everything of that particular deal. I think I had another baseball one. There's some cool things about, baseball in particular. Like this would never happen again. I mean, it was in the heyday of Padres not being very good, and things being really cheap, and nothing would be this cheap. They used to have the 5 for $5 deal at Petco Park. It was at one concession stand, and you would get like a hot dog. You get a hot dog, a cookie, popcorn or something like that. I forget. There was like 5 items for $5. It'd come in a little lunch bag.
Nice.
5 for $5 was great.
That's cool.
I wonder if somebody has it like posted online. I'm sure it is. They had the 5 for $5 deal. It was awesome. Yeah, you could get. Oh, so this is what it was. They used to give you a hot dog, a soda, peanuts, popcorn, and a cookie for $5. And I think if you wanted a beer, you could upgrade the soda for like a couple extra bucks or something like that. It's a pretty cool deal. Pretty good deal. $5 for park in the park. Yeah, it's just you can't. It's based on popularity. You can't do that now. It's just Padres are so popular. Oh yeah, that was great too. Go Aztecs in the Twitch chat. This week in baseball highlights. They'd have like Ted Leitner go in there and like record the audio from it. That was awesome.
There are so many things, so many simple things like that are just falling completely by the wayside now. And by the way, guys, if you're calling in now, the tickets have already been won. Congratulations to Raphael and Claremont. Please, we've given the tickets away.
Yes.
But there are so many things like that. Like even on national television, like ESPN and stuff like that, that you never see stuff like that anymore. Like they're so focused on the NFL and NBA, like they never do like a This Week in Baseball thing at all, ever.
Yeah, it was great. Here's another one too. I remember this one. I have pictures like this as a kid. My buddy Ron texted me. He said, "No picture day on the field anymore." Do you remember the picture day? You go through and some of the players would go out there and they just like take pictures with like the fans out there and the kids. I remember I have I have a picture with Damian Jackson, and I can't remember who the other player was.
I think that's kind of been substituted by FanFest, though, kind of.
I guess.
More or less.
Yeah, I guess. But I remember the picture day at Qualcomm. I never did any of that stuff at Petco. Like I never ran the bases at Petco. I did that at Qualcomm. I remember the picture day. You'd get there early, right? And you go on the warning track, and then the players would just go around and take pictures. And there's like they'd go through different. They wouldn't all make it around the whole thing. They would have different guys at different spots. I'm pretty sure I have two pictures. I have one. And like they would like hold the kids up too. Like they would like take the kid and like hold it. So I'm being held up on one by Damian Jackson, and there's another photo of me. I think it's Ryan Klesko holding me up. They're wearing the pinstripe jerseys. Super cool.
There's one that Adam Paul just said, like, you don't have like sponsor gimmicks much anymore. Like for like at Shea, there was out in left field because it was very much like Dodger Stadium where it was just a wraparound bowl. It didn't have like built-in grandstands in left and right field. So they had like stadium, like bleachers, high school bleachers out in left center field. And they called it the Pepsi picnic area. And you had to bring like X amount of empty Pepsi cans and you would get to sit in the Pepsi picnic area. It was completely like broken apart from any other part of the stadium, but you were there watching the game out in left center field. Ballparks don't really have gimmicks like that anymore. Like bring in a dozen empty bottles of Coke and here you go. Here's a ticket.
I think a lot of people with Qualcomm, a lot of kids that grew up with Qualcomm, which is a lot of people
in San Diego, really?
The roundabouts that would get you to the different levels and kids just sprinting down those at the end of games.
Yeah.
Like during the game is sprinting up and down those. It was a lot of great memories. I mean, that was the cool part about covering the fleet. I think I filmed one update about the fleet, like on one of those roundabouts. That was a blast as a kid running through those. And it's funny, like Adam Paul put in the chat too. I remember entering at the different gates at Qualcomm. And you got through like the tickets and the security or whatever like that, and the guy standing on a box selling programs. Does anybody like everything's digital now? You don't get the hard copy of the program. And I remember in the program it would come with a scorecard would be in there.
Yes,
you could like actually score in the program, and people would buy those almost every single time.
Yep, 100%.
That was a blast. So many good memories at Qualcomm. The Murph.
You could see different parts of Qualcomm Stadium in Monk. I forget which season it was, but there was a murder mystery as a San Francisco Giants player was murdered in the parking lot. The show.
Really? In the show?
And they filmed it at Qualcomm as the home of the 49ers. So yeah, like there's different bits of Qualcomm Stadium that you could still see. Like most of it's in the parking lot. You could see like the inners of the stadium at some point in some areas. The concourse, like getting like between the main body of the stadium and the gate, going up to those roundabouts. So yeah, you could still see good old Qualcomm.
The other one they had was that reminds me. It's funny, like. They had, when you talk about them using different stadiums, different things, like in Angels in the outfield, they're not at Angel Stadium.
Yeah.
They filmed that in Oakland.
Yeah.
Which I find interesting for that Disney movie. It's like, why didn't you just film it at Angel Stadium?
You had the Angels game. The Angels were the home team at Dodger Stadium in Naked Gun.
Yeah. Well, you know what? They used to play home games there.
I know. Yes, they did.
Long time ago.
That always drives me nuts, especially watching racing movies. It's like, yeah, this is not This is not the track you say it is. Please stop.
Does
just say where you are, please.
The other thing too, like with the because going down memory lane at Qualcomm, does anybody remember where like the Jerome's best seat in the house was at Qualcomm for the Padre games? It wasn't even anywhere near the state. It was like in left field.
I was going to say, like, it would make sense. Like, wouldn't it be behind like the palm trees and stuff in the outfield?
It was in left field. It was like a cutout from like the field level out there in the outfield that was part of like the football stadium. So like one of the tunnels that they would have obviously didn't exist because they didn't have stands out there in the outfield. They just took it from the plaza level up and the thing was down. So like one of those they opened up and they put the sofas there and they were all the way out in left field above the fence. And it was like, I remember as a kid going like, is that really the best seat like in the house? Like, wouldn't you want to sit like closer? Now the Jerome's best seat in the house or whatever it is now is like there's like 8 of them and they're right behind home plate. They're great. They're like sweet seats now. It's great.
Kid, the acoustics in this seat, you can't beat it anywhere else. That's what makes this the best seat. It's not the sight lines. It's not the view. The acoustics in this seat, though, chef's kiss.
The other thing I remember with the video board at Qualcomm, I remember, and who knows if anybody else remembers this. Does everybody remember when they would do like the lineups for the other team? They would have the logo out there, and then they would have like a wave crashing and destroying the logo, and then the Padre would show up or whatever like that.
That is another thing.
And the other thing that they did
those
too,
creative hype videos.
Oh, the Chargers one was like so gimmicky, but it was awesome.
Creative animated hype videos. No one does that anymore.
They had that was like the Chargers one. I'll tell you that. But like the other thing too with the starting lineups is they would have, it was super generic. I told USD they got to do this. They have like the guy's face. They have like the whatever color their team is with the logo and the guy's name, whatever like that. And then the backdrop was like a scenic shot from that city they were from. They don't do that anymore. That was awesome too. I remember that was back in the 90s, but the gimmicky, like the bad animation for like the pregame, like video. So the Chargers one was great. They would have like it was for the flyover. So like the jets would take off and then they would fly all over San Diego throughout like the different spots of San Diego. And then they get to the stadium and they fly over the stadium. And then it's like 2 helmets that are like circling each other in the stadium. It was the Chargers helmet and then whoever they're playing. And then the Chargers helmet would electrocute and explode the other helmet. People would go nuts. So great. So I guess to answer the question for people, like things that don't exist, things from your childhood for sports that don't exist anymore. I think we went down memory lane long enough for that stuff.
You wouldn't know the Padres are playing the Dodgers today.
Try to avoid that crazy conversation as much as possible. Tomorrow's show is going to be just unhinged the entire time.
Yeah, guys, please. Let's
win or lose, it's going to be unhinged.
Let's be calm, rational human beings tomorrow, please.
Good luck. Dodgers are 29-18. Padres are 28-18. Right there, neck and neck. Dodgers offensively been pretty good. Got some pretty good numbers. Padres numbers, not the best, but also been really good for the bullpen. Should be a fun series this week. Game tonight, 6:40. Ecowater SoCal Padres pregame show at 5:40. Gwen and Chris coming up next. For Frank Marchese, I'm Braden Surrenant. This has been the Braden Surrenant Show. Look forward to talking tomorrow, hopefully after a Padres victory on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97 to the Fan.